When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I grew older, I set aside childish ways. Corinthians 13:11. In the distant future, mankind has spread into the stars and found it is not alone. Within the cluster of planets known as the Silrain Heart, many races strive for survival or supremacy. But throughout this array of planets, societies, and cultures, each has one thing in common: the crucibles. Scattered throughout the galaxy, each moon-sized structure contains a core of raw sorin, a form of mysterious energy used to power ships, cities, and sometimes the warping of the fabric of reality itself. Beings who can do this have been given a name: Espers. The power of God has been granted to God's children. It is a time of terror. It is a time of wonder. It is the time of Esper Genesis.
That note fading in the distance. I love it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome, Argonauts. Welcome to a Friday night stream. It is 9 p.m. Eastern, and welcome to day 38 of Esper Genesis, sponsored, of course, by Alligator Alley Entertainment. This is Viral Fallout. I hope everyone is doing well and is looking forward to our stream today. Thank you so much for the host, Brahms. Thank you for the earlier host, of course, from Echo Alpha X5, and I hope everyone is doing well and looking forward to our stream tonight as we move into I can't say the home stretch, as we continue to move forward into this series of adventures of the Esper Genesis crew. Before I get any further, let me remind everybody about ways to support the stream. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to follow the channel here. Please make sure to check out the YouTube channel, as Echo has just posted there, with the exclamation point ARVTube, exclamation, and Coven Guy as well. Exclamation point ARVCord is the Discord channel where you can hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams. That is always happening. Exclamation point ARVCord for that. Exclamation point ARV tweets will get you over to my Twitter where you can retweet this stream. Please do that. We've already had a few people favorite or retweet it. So please make sure to do that. Exclamation point ARV tweets, as you can see right there. And please follow me over there, because that is also a big help as we continue to build and grow our community. You can find all of this on my website for this channel, arvineleron.com. If you haven't done so already, please consider supporting us on the financial side as well. We have, of course, the shop, exclamation point ARV shop at the moment, that just consists of stuff for D&D with Infinity and Beyond, which we'll be playing tomorrow, about which more in a moment. Relevant. That's the Curse of Strahd campaign. And, of course, Adventures of Middle-earth with the amazing illustrations of Terry Toons. But we will also have Esper Genesis material up there soon. So if you're interested in that and getting some cool swag and all that, you can get cool stuff for you and support the channel at the same time. Exclamation point ARV shop for that. Exclamation point ARV Treon will get you over to my Patreon where you can support us there. Currently sitting at 313. Cool stuff for you and cool stuff for the channel. And that 313 number is great because it means that we continue to push up and upwards and allow us to do other cool things. Gets invested back into the channel with cool video intros and music and things like the one that you just saw. Also, it allows us to get cool stuff for the channel in terms of different tournaments and events that I can hold, and you get individual stuff for yourself, including character backgrounds and things like that. I have 2 character backgrounds to write. One of them I'm going to try to write over the next week. That is Coven Guy's background, and the other one is Echo Alpha X5's character background because of his support of the Patreon as well. So I'm going to be doing those 2 by the end of the month, and if you want to get on board for something like that, you can support at the $10 level or above on the Patreon. And last but certainly not least, that sub button right above the video window is always a big thing. We are sitting right now at about 44 subs. Would love to see that get north of 50 and back upwards again, because again, that really does make a difference. You can get cool custom sub badges, cool custom emotes and things like that to use here and there and everywhere across Twitch, so please consider doing that. And last but certainly not least, on the publishing side of things, just a couple of notes. Exclamation point Library is the Forbidden Library, Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library, which has just come out from Alligator Alley Entertainment. That is my 5e compatible adventure and sourcebook with contributions from writers like Cat Rambo and Carlos Hernandez and many others. That is out now in PDF. You can get it at DriveThruRPG, and exclamation point Library will give you the link to go over that. And then, so that's DriveThruRPG, and that's Forbidden Library. The print version of that is coming in about 5 weeks. That's been sent off now, I believe, to the printer or in the next day or so. So that's going to be off to the printer, and then they will get it back to us as soon as possible. So print edition's coming soon. Then we have exclamation point Icarus, which is my graphic novel Icarus and Jelinek. I've been approving art furiously as time has gone on. I'm like, yes, this is good, and this is awesome also. So we're getting there, and I'm very excited about that. That is going to be coming out in May, so you can pre-order that with exclamation point Icarus. That's coming out from Athos Arts Entertainment. Athos Arts Limited, I should say. And last but certainly not least, we have, of course, the Greyshade, exclamation point Greyshade KS, which is my Greyshade Kickstarter for Greyshade the book, Greyshade the game, Greyshade the RPG, Greyshade the audiobook, all of which is going to be getting released in Kickstarter in late March. We'll have an announcement about the date for that soon. So all that's happening. It's good stuff, and I am very excited about all of it. Schedule. Tonight we've got Esper Genesis. We'll be going until a little bit earlier tonight. We'll probably stop at around 11:30-ish or so. And then tomorrow we have got D&D with Infinity and Beyond. Curse of Strahd is going to be coming at you next. That's going to be tomorrow evening. Then next week we have a couple of announcements, but I'm going to wait to talk about that until I introduce some of our players. But just check the calendar, exclamation point calendar, or again, arvanillaron.com for details on all of that. All right, now that I've had a chance to talk and say all those things, I'm now going to unmute myself so the lovely people know that we are ready to go. A full crew, let it be said, and I will then unmute them. And last but certainly not least, I will.
That's always a bad idea.
And there we go. And I can see already that I have accidentally put them in the wrong places because there was a shift.
Who am I
today? Johnny will be playing Zach, and Zach will be playing Johnny, and that's not true at all.
Sleepwell, what are you doing? Starboy, I do all this stuff. What are you?
Exactly.
Starboy.
Exactly. Now we got everybody in the right spot. This is why you never, just as a quick note to streamers, this is why you never lock video windows. All right, you just don't lock video windows because you never know when that stuff is going to be changed. So, but in any case, so we have the full crew in front of us, and I will mention the other announcement about schedule when I get to the people for whom it is relevant. But I will start with the gentleman all the way to our left, who is first in the row and first in our hearts today. And that, of course, is the lovely Johnny Pittman, Mr. Vid Store Cowboy. What's up, Johnny? How's life in the universe with you? And how are you? See, I said lovely, and you're just like, really? At first in my hearts? Second in my hearts? What is it? Suspicious. I
am always suspicious, and I am playing the sort of the troublemaker, sort of grumpy old man of the group. So yeah. I don't think I'm first in the heart. I'm doing good, other than watching the politics of the day. Things are really good here. Just finished the last of the solo episodes for a podcast we're doing, a pirate themed podcast. that will start appearing on Monday on your various feeds called Dark Fortunes. And it's you can find it at Dark Fortunes Podcast on Twitter.
Did
And
you say pirate themed?
pirate. So here's the thing.
Okay.
It's not only is it pirate themed, it's also in a setting that made by the Deck of Many folks called Humblewood.
Okay.
And if you were at PAX Unplugged, Humblewood had a like a huge sort of display and everything. And basically, they're anthropomorphic animals. So there's bird folk, there's the folk along the forest on the ground, and so we just took it and we went adjacent to all of that and decided to make them all pirates.
Okay.
So we're now exploring that particular world, and it's actually it's going to be a lot of fun. The first episodes are definitely a little raw, but the cast is great, and we're going to have a really good time. So we just got done recording that, and then I'm here. So hi, I am Johnny. I'll be playing Aramis, the Ashen Forged Melder, who is grumpy at everybody right now. Just saying.
Yeah, more and more grumpy. There's just gonna be one. There's gonna be a session just called the Grumpening, and it'll just be like, the ultimate example of all of you.
My skin will stop being ash, and it will start being green, and I will wear a hat and a coat, and I will go on my sleigh, and I will collect all of the toys from Sleepwell because he's not here right now.
I when you said green, I was just like the Hulk, and then as you were adding parts to the image, I'm like, that's not the Hulk. There's no part of that is the Hulk, and I was like, the Grinch. Yes, indeed, yes. His heart grew 3 sizes that day. Well, it is always a great pleasure to have Johnny with us. I'm very excited, and very excited, of course, to have as well right next to him the inimitable Kat Rambo, who is back with us again. Kat, always a pleasure. I hope everything is okay with you. How's life in the universe in your completely non-chaotic neck of the woods? And who are you playing today?
Life continues mildly chaotic. We're still in the middle of getting ready to move down to Portland. I am running Petra Sinis, a Ashen Forge Sentinel with a keen sense of justice and a very large hammer.
Indeed, and some questions to answer, that may be happening within this very place, as we will discuss. Always a pleasure to have Kat with us. You will also see Kat soon as well, returning with the Rambo Academy for Wayward Writers on Twitch, which is coming soon here as well, and I'm very excited about that. The only chaotic on Kat is her hair every time it's a new hairdo. Yeah, but it's always good though. It's always it's always got it's got the right kind of chaos, controlled chaos, you might say. But moving right along, after being very glad to have Johnny and Kat with us, also glad, of course, to have Carlos Hernandez with us. And before I just, shower more praises on him and ask him to fire up these medals and trophies that he's been winning of late, I will say that this gives me a chance to mention that next Friday, I am going to be up in Boscone, and Carlos is partly to thank for that because Carlos put in a good word for me there. And I am going to be going to this amazing convention, which is a very long-running convention up in the Boston area. I'm going to be doing panels on, I'm actually really excited to do a panel on Rebels and Rebellion in Star Wars with Martha Wells. That's going to be awesome. There's going to be a panel on game stuff and game narrative and design. There's going to be one panel on character construction and stuff like that, plus a reading. So I'm very excited to do it. I'm very excited to hang out with Carlos, and of course, Carlos will be there as well. And so you should all go see that and hang out with us if you are in the Boston area, again, next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But I should say before that, I don't even know if Carlos can get there because it is going to be difficult to drag this much metal and hardware. Every time I log on Twitter, Carlos is just like, oh, look, another medal. Oh, look, another trophy. Oh, look, another award. So before you dominate the known universe of middle grade, first of all, well-deserved because you know how much I think of Sal and Gabby Breaks the Universe. But how are you otherwise, Carlos? How's life and who are you playing today?
You mean, yeah, other than that, no, I mean, things are going really well. I started a new middle grade book that's not in the Sal and Gabby universe at all, and it feels real good. I'll give you a little spoiler. It's called The Dragon of Lower Manhattan, and so
nice, perfect.
Yeah, so it's exciting to be on a new project, and just kind of like going crazy with it. And you are going to be playtesting my RPG that Claire and I are building together.
Yes,
which is sort of like a kind of like improv game meets Mysterium blend that I'm very excited.
It's super cool. Kat and Aaron Rosenberg and I actually had a chance to do an early version of this last year at Origins, and it was awesome. So yeah, I can't wait to see what the even more refined version is like. So it'll be great.
Yeah, it's playing pretty well too. Like it's getting to the point where it's getting really exciting, and we're gonna have to start making some tough choices and killing some darlings and stuff like that. But yeah, so it's been a good couple of weeks for me, and I am going to be playing Ludiku Sleepwell. He is Catman slash excitement creator slash bad decision maker that Aramis, loses his liver over.
That's very true. And that's actually accurate. One drink at a time. But I am excited to have Carlos with us. Thank you so much. And I'm also excited, of course, to have Mr. Zach Clay with us. Zach is walking wounded today. He is fighting through illness of every single kind, but he is here and he's with us because this is the kind of dedication, people, that he can show.
Of course.
And this is what you should do as long as you're doing it virtually and not going and getting everyone sick in person. But as long as it's virtually, then this is exactly the kind of way you should be. I'm just totally kidding. But no, it's that dedication that we love. In all seriousness, I hope you're feeling okay, Zach, and thank you for soldiering on. And how are you other than this minor illness that you're dealing with? And who are you playing today?
I'm doing good. I just have a little cold, and like I've been telling everyone that's asked about it or that I've told about it, it's just annoying to not feel 100%. So all you're doing when you're sick is you're like, okay, once I'm better, then I can do all this. So I'm just kind of waiting for it to pass, and a lot of other the busiest parts of my schedule in life are also like I have to wait several months for. So I'm just marshaling for April to be my free time and to be free from all of my obligations and so on. But anyway, one step at a time, and the step tonight is seeing if we can manage to get through this this citadel without killing each other first. Yes. And tonight I am playing a Bellare hunter, a star being hunter named Cosmeritis, or Cos, or Starboy. And let's hope we don't die.
Yes, I think that's it's quite a big endorsement, and I'm looking forward to hopefully not dying. Let's see if we can make that occur. Let me unmute a little bit of the music that we've got, and let's get fired up with a recap. In our last session, in day 37, and I did mention this before, but just one more note with all the players here. Again, our thanks to Alligator Alley Entertainment for sponsoring us. They are awesome people. Brian and Rich and Eric and Chris and the rest of the gang do a great job. So thank you all so much to Alligator Alley Entertainment, and you folks should really check them out because they are a company that is going places, and not just because they just published an adventure source book that I have something to do with. So, but they're awesome. Besides that, they are also awesome, and the Esper Genesis stuff continues to be great. The Master Technician's Guide, I should say, is being worked on as we speak very heavily. That's essentially the Dungeon Master's Guide, basically the equivalent of it. And I've seen some art of that, and it just looks as good as all the rest of their stuff does. It's just super, super good. So anyway, definitely will want to check their stuff out. So in our last session, in day 37 of Esper Genesis Viral Fallout, the party had managed to get into, although with a little bit of difficulty at first, to get into the Roach Citadel. The Citadel, which is called that because it's the fortress where the Roach Gang, one of two major gangs that sort of roam this area, have been hanging out. And it's important to note that I said it was a little difficult until Kaz decided that he was going to make the process a little bit easier by eliminating the front wall with his portable black hole generator that he just happens to possess. And so when he wiped out much of the front wall and allowing them to enter, that made it much easier for them to get in. But it still meant that they had other things to consider and worry about. Specifically, they are trying to find the source of a transmission, I should say. They're trying to find the transmitter for this cyber virus, which is a variant, or perhaps it's either directly related to or a variant of the Long Winter, a virus which they previously encountered on a space station a long distance from here. Here is Sector 77 on Old Earth, where a terrible accident took place about 20 years before the party arrived, leaving this area essentially isolated and shut off from the rest of the city. And so you have gangs, people trying to make a life for themselves as best they can, and to do so even in the face of essentially chaos and anarchy. And so the party has been trying to do that, but they're trying to navigate several issues in the process of it. The first is that, as I said, there is a war going on here, a gang war long-standing between the Roaches on one side and the Outcast Union on the other. The Outcast Union is not apparently the side that has got these this emitter that's firing out this transmission of the Long Winter, but that doesn't mean that they're particularly friendly. In fact, they tried to blow Kaz the hell up earlier on in our sessions, and Kaz was able to escape that fate by essentially, throwing it into a separate plane and then departing that plane. But it was very much a dangerous situation, and so the party is trying to navigate that gang conflict. In the meantime, Jeline, who is a bartender at a local bar, but also kind of a community leader, you might say, has also expressed concern about the long-term ramifications of this war and how the party could disrupt it, and so has asked Aramis to be one of the people that will help sort of tamp down some of the party's theoretical worst impulses. Whereas the party, some of the rest of the party, has their own considerations, like, for example, why the Shadow Technocracy and the Zephyr Corporation is involved in this particular project. This was apparently an old Zephyr Corporation factory that is currently where the Roach Citadel is. What does that mean about the connection between those things? Why is it that the Shadow Technocracy seems to have permanently changed Sleepwell's father? Ludicus Sleepwell. I won't bother to talk about his other name. Sleepwell's father in mysterious and unusual ways. Why does Petra feel some kind of personal connection to AI in the area as an Ashen Forged herself? Will Aramis be able to deal with this entire whatever the hell is going on with this crew without his liver is, blown into oblivion? And is Kaz going to be fine, or is his suit also infected by the long winter? All of these things are considerations that the party has to worry about as they're in the process.
We're answering them all tonight.
Yeah, exactly. And now we begin one at a time in the next 2 hours and 50 minutes. No. But the party is inside the Roach Citadel, and as we ended our last session, Kaz, who was exploring with Sleepwell, watched as Sleepwell opened a door to the northern side of this facility and found a long room there with a lot of shelves with material and equipment on it, a number of cobwebs in the area, but also a laser gun being pointed directly in his face and being held by someone who told him, "This is as far as you go, because if you go any further, you're going to have your head blown off," or something, essentially, I think is more or less what I said. And as I hand things back over to the party, I will say that as you're now looking at this person, I'm going to hand things back over to you, Sleepwell, but I want you to start, please, by making an insight check for me as you are staring at this person.
Oh, dang it. And roll 20. Give me 1 second. I just
Sure.
have to go.
That's no
So
problem.
I'm going to make an insight check, I promise. But as I go to make an insight check,
Said insight check, yes.
I am going to say the word aim to have my 4 lovely drones aim their guns at the person aiming at my head.
Okay. So they do that, right? And Kaz, of course, you also can see this, so theoretically you could also, pull out the gun and aim it at her head if you wish, or do no such thing, but you can hear it too. As he's making his insight check, what do you want to do, Kaz? Just now the gun is just drawn in his face, but it's not, she's just there. In fact, you know what, Kaz? You can also make an insight check because you're looking right at her too.
All right.
So both of you can do that.
Okay. Insight is good for me.
18 for me.
18.
18, wow. Okay, double 18.
You notice exactly the same
We
thing.
noticed the
Exactly.
exact same thing.
You see
which
the
is-
exact same twitch at the same time. So the thing that you notice is that her hand that is holding this, remember this person is wearing a leather jacket that has the Roach, gang insignia on the shoulder. And you can see that her hand is shaking a little bit. and you can see there's some sweat pouring down her face, and it's not clear if she's afraid of you or afraid of something else, but it is definitely the case that this is not a person who seems like, all right, I'm a certified bat. This is not someone who's got it all together. There's clearly some uncertainty and doubt that this person has. This person also, I want to mention, who has incidentally kind of short, spiky hair. She also looks very tired, exhausted, you might almost say. And now with that, I will allow Sleepwell, you to have any reaction that you want.
So, I said sort of like aims almost instinctually to
Right.
have my dudes point weapons at this person, and she's. You were using the she pronoun. Does that seem like? Does Ludiku think that's like the right?
Seems like a good guess. It could be, but you make a good point. It could be a they, or it's possible, but it's yeah. It seems like a she/they.
Okay, so Ludiku kind of like after sort of like the insight kind of sits in, he goes, stand down to as an order to his 4 automatons.
And by the way, 3, because one of them is over at the other room.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, 3 of them.
But yeah.
So the 3. So
Yeah.
I have them stand. I say stand down,
Okay.
and just
You
kind of
see
like
her eyes flicker to them like briefly.
Yeah.
yeah, and just like, I'm a doctor. If there's anything wrong, I can help you right now.
And she sort of stares at you and she's like, You're not to go any further. That's what we're told. No further.
Told by who?
And she kind of looks at you. I'm going to use this because I can't resist. Literally, the term for this is punk brawler, and I'm like, I have to. I just have to use the punk brawler.
You can't go any further.
Let me tell you what. And she sort of stares at you for a minute, and then she's like, It doesn't matter who. Just, you're not supposed to be here.
It actually really does matter who. That's kind of why we're here. Are you okay? I mean, I'm not human, obviously, but you look tired.
She says, and she says, Yes, I'm not talking. Just back off.
But you are. Sorry, Sleepwell, go ahead.
I just say to her, look, I don't know what's going on back there, but it's pretty clear that you're in pretty rough shape. We can escort you out and to safety. We've got a ship and we're getting out of here. So if you're in trouble, this is a good time to tell us so that we can help you.
She says, Get out of here. You don't get out of here. No one gets out of here. Nobody does. You're just as dead as the rest of us.
Sleepwell, we can continue this conversation with this fine woman later. Would you mind directing us in the direction of one General Blatt?
Make another insight check for me, please. And you can add 1 to this, Kaz.
Okie dokie.
I'll let you make that same insight check, Sleepwell.
With +1 also?
Yes, with +1.
16.
So 17?
15.
Or did you add the 1
Quite
already?
see-
I already add. We
You
both
already
already added our 1.
16.
Yeah.
Did you, Sleepwell, add 1 as well?
I did add. I
Okay.
did add.
Yeah, when you see, when you hear when she hears the name Blatt, you can kind of see her eyes sort of flicker around, and it's not clear at first if they're flickering. It's not flickering over his shoulder, but it's almost like they sort of dart to the right, almost to maybe the door to your left, like the door you came from, and then back to you. And it's very quick. Like, I mean, it's not, it doesn't even linger there long, but that's definitely what happens when she goes there.
Right,
So
I'm sorry, I don't quite follow. She flicked. I'm sorry. I'm just
her
getting-
eyes just flicker in the
yeah.
direction of the door over here.
I
just
asked her
just briefly. So
Yeah. After I asked her to direct us to General Blatt.
Right.
Other than that eye flick, does she have a response?
No.
She just stares at us.
She just stares at you, still breathing kind of heavily.
So at this point, I say, look, you can clearly see you're outnumbered. If you shoot at one of us, the rest of you take you down, and nobody wants a firefight right now. You don't look like the sort of person that we're after.
And she says, well, who are you after then?
Is it
Well-
not obvious?
You can't be coming after Vlad unless you're not outcast. You don't
No.
look like him. They don't take they don't take robots.
Never said.
And
Never
she looks
said.
at you and she says robot, Kaz. Clearly she's never seen a Bellari.
Never said that we wanted to kill him. Just said that we wanted to see him. That's all. I'm not a robot, by the way.
You're not?
No, but I can educate you later. Do you have any idea where General Blatt is?
And she
At this
kind
point,
of go
I
ahead.
put
yeah.
Oh no, I was gonna. I put a hand on Kaz's shoulder. It's like, all we really need is the signal. And so I turn back to her. Do you happen to know if you're sending out subspace transmissions from this place? Like, where would you be able to send a signal out into space in this building?
A
You
signal.
don't even need the general.
What, a signal? What? We don't sell. What? She looks
Oh.
completely confused. Like seemed to have no idea what you're talking about, or she's bluffing very well, but she seems to be completely clueless.
So yeah, I just kind of I just
Hmm.
go slightly closer toward her, even though the gun is pointed at me. I'm kind of like putting myself even slightly closer to her. I said,
Hand
look,
still
you
shakes a bit.
clearly, yeah, it's like, you clearly don't know what's happening here. I don't know what they've told you. I don't know how they've threatened you, but we just want to go right past you, do our business, walk out. If you want to walk out with us, we'll take you.
And she kind of, her hand sort of shakes again, and she, for a moment, she sort of sways slightly, and then she kind of, like the classic, the car drives off the road, and you're like, like your eyes, get super wide because
Oh, yeah.
that moment, and she kind of looks back at you, and she says, I can't let anyone through. They'd kill me. You don't know what they're like.
Do you remember that huge?
I as Sleepwell is talking, I turn my head down the hallway. I say, Petra, could you come over here real quick?
And I'm saying, like, do you remember that huge robot that guards the bridge?
She says, that crazy old man owns. I think I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, it's on our side now. We can have that robot walk you right across the bridge and to safety.
And she kind of, her lip quivers, and she's like, you could also have it throw me down in the pit there, like it does with all the others that try to go across.
Look, I don't know who has betrayed you, but it's clearly made you, like, paranoid. And I understand that, but we just want to. And then I open my hands out toward her, and I say, like,
She's like,
if you touch my hands, you'll feel better.
make a persuasion check for me. Do this at +2. Reminder to chat that inspirations have all been reset, so you'll be able to use them for this adventure if you so
Persuasion.
choose.
Sorry, I didn't get my reading glasses. So persuasion is charisma, which
Yeah.
is not my best. So I tell you what, I have one die left on my bonus,
Okay.
my luck, and I'm going to add a d6 to this
Okay.
as well. So this is now rolling. Oh, and you said I could roll it at +2. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. So here's the roll.
Mm-hmm.
That is 10, and then I'm adding a d6 to it. So a total of 14.
Okay. Did you add the +2 also?
Yes, I did.
You're doing the right. Okay, so 14. She kind of, you can see her arm sort of wavers. You can see she kind of narrows her eyes, and then she kind of like tightly like, just, I don't know who you are. You don't trust anyone down here. That's how you live. They could have sent you in to test me. It could be an outcast, some outcast Frelling garbage. I've been there before. It could be something from that stupid Jolene. I don't know who it is, but it could be anything. I'm supposed to stay here and keep you out, and that's what I'm supposed to do. That's it. That's what I'm supposed to do.
At this point, would Petra have come over?
Yes, Petra. I would assume Petra would be there by now.
Okay.
So Petra is now there, and when she sees you walk in, her eyes widen slightly. You don't recognize this person at all, but she just immediately is like, like gun, like left, right, left, right. Apparently, the presence of an Ashen Forge with a very large hammer has troubled her somewhat.
So I turn back to this woman. I say, "Do you have a name?"
And she says, Tano. My name's Tano.
Listen, Tano. There's a few options of what's going to happen. We don't work for the outcast or whatever people you think we work for. We really need to get inside here. If you couldn't already tell, there was actually a automaton that was already standing out here that we already just took care of. I don't know if you think that you're tougher than that automaton, which was pretty hard to get rid of. We really don't want to hurt you, but unfortunately we are going to get into that room. So, and then I pull out some restraints. I say, we could restrain you and send you off anywhere you want, or you could have you be unrestrained, or, and I gesture to Petra, she could knock you out. Those are a few options. I really hope that you don't choose the option that involves you attacking us and then you not surviving.
Make an intimidate check for me, Kaz.
By the way, Sleepwell's looking daggers at Kaz right now.
4.
She's like, your friend there, he said I've seen this, right? This is one of you's good, one of you's bad. I see how it goes.
Yeah,
and you all play off each other.
Right,
that's how it goes. I see what this is about. Listen, I don't know. I've seen tricks and I know what the deal is. You just can't stay where you are. I'm not, you could go, just leave again. I'll just stay here.
Mm-hmm.
You stay. So she's like barely, completing sentences and
Right. So I'm going to sit down, and I'm going to have my automatons sit down too. And I'm going to say, okay, we'll stay here. We'll just look at each other.
Okay, so you do that. Petra and Kaz, what do you do? Actually, Petra first. What do you do, upon the seeing of all of this?
Well, I'm trying to sort it all out while backing up Kaz with my body language and expression. That, like, when he says wouldn't want her to knock you out, and I'll kind of like heft my hammer just slightly.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm just kind of playing it cool and seeing what happens.
Okay. Kaz, what about you?
I think the moment Sleepwell goes to sit down, assuming that grabs her attention for a moment, given that Sleepwell himself and all of his constructs sit, Kaz is going to go for a quick arm pistol shot at her hand that she's using to hold the gun in.
Okay. So, interesting. I am going to ask you then, I'm going to ask you to make an attack.
Okay.
Because I assume you're aiming, now, this is important. You're aiming for, are you trying to make this a very good shot, as in you just hit the pistol and try to avoid her? Or are you trying to hit her hand? And presumably hitting her hand would not be lethal, but it's going to hurt a lot if you hit her in the hand. So I'm just curious.
I want to make sure that she drops her gun. Okay. That's all I'm going to say. So
all right. Well, then I'm going to...
her hand gets hurt, I don't care too much.
All right. Well, then I'm going to have you make so I'm going to have you make here essentially a modified called shot. So I'm going to have you do an attack here, but I'm going to have you do this at -2.
Okay.
Because you're having to draw quickly and fire in close proximity. So
I do have a as a part of me being a hunter, I do have a, let's see, a thing that says jetpack. No, that's
Disarm gang member with gun.
disarm roach gang member with gun. I learned it at level 6.
That's great.
No, let's see. I have a thing that says on, and I'm not sure if this would count, so that's why I'm asking. It says on my first turn during combat, I have advantage on attack rolls against creatures that have not yet acted.
No, this is not combat yet, unless.
Okay.
I mean, it might end up being combat.
Yeah,
But,
and then okay.
Yeah.
All right. So -2, you said?
Yes.
Okay, so that will make my overall bonus +5 because I'm a sharpshooter. Why? Okay, that's a 9.
That's a 9. So your shot misses,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes, and she like sort of, kind of her eyes widen, and she fires right back at you. Let me see.
Okay.
What we
Would
got
I
here.
and like extra attack wouldn't count for this?
No.
All right.
This is, as I say, this is not sort of a normal kind of standard thing. Oh wow.
Okie dokie.
Apparently, fear provides quite a bit because she critically hits you.
Okay.
Well, pow!
That's how the story should go.
Yeah, exactly. That is going to do 8 points of damage.
All right.
Oh my god.
So you go staggering backwards. Aramis, you hear a shot in the other. You see that, Petra, as well. And then she staggers back and basically books it this way. So we're out of sight.
I run over to Kaz and I say, "You stupid."
I run past sleep. I don't even have time for Sleepwell's admonishment.
No, but I'm gonna
I
kill
run
you.
right past.
Okay.
I'm like, Sleepwell, I know. Hold on. And I want to run after her.
Okay.
All I want to do is I want to get to this side of the hallway.
Okay.
And I want to. Let's see. Is it either of them higher? Nope. This time, again, I'm trying to go for a non-lethal shot. I'll still use the arm pistol because I know my sniper packs a punch. So I'm just gonna take another shot this time. This time I'd like it to just be to maybe her legs so that she stops moving.
Okay. All right.
But wait, we're not doing an initiative here
This
because
is still not initiative. I'm going to give one more shot because she is actually clearly is trying not to engage. Like that was almost a fire, and then is booking it. So this is not combat yet. I will allow you to act in just a second, Sleepwell, but because
as
you
a
were
free action, I yell, "Don't shoot!"
you moron. Yeah. Okay. So go ahead and fire away. This shot, I'm going to say. I'm going to give you only a -1 on this. She's not paying attention. You have a little more time to size it up. She's running for the door, by the way.
Okie dokie. Is the door open or closed?
It's closed right now.
Do I recognize if it has if there's a way that I could actually shoot the door mechanism to keep it closed, actually?
If you go ahead and make a perception check for me, let's see if you can.
I'll
If you happen
do
to
that
note if
first.
there's something here.
Here's perception. 11. Man, low rolls.
It's possible. I mean, the door does not look that different from the other ones there. There are some button panels that are next to each of these doors, but it's not clear if the door panels, I mean, those are obviously locks of some kind, but you don't know if that actually would disable the opening and closing mechanism or just the locking mechanism. So, I mean, you could try it, and try to fire at it. That one's going to be a lot easier of a shot, but you're not certain of the result.
I will shoot at the door mechanism.
Okay. Then I will allow you to make just a regular attack there.
Okay, in an attempt to get it to stay closed.
Okay.
Yeah, and I have my arm pistol out. Okay, here we go. 13.
13. Yeah, these are the door panels do not dodge particularly well.
Okay.
So that hits it. Go ahead and roll damage. I need to see
Okay.
what this does.
Burst
Burst into flames.
Just 4 damage.
Yeah, that's enough though. So it
Okay.
hits it, and just sparks fly out, and the door actually starts going so like just kind of like slightly opening and slightly closing and slightly opening, but not nearly far enough for anyone to get through. And not very loudly, just a little bit. And she kind of like, turns to a halt and screeches to a halt and kind of turns around and looks at you just kind of wide-eyed, almost doing the, body back against the door, type of thing, like almost like that, as she sees you there. She doesn't have her pistol raised again, though. She's just kind of like looking at you, breathing heavily.
And I don't have my weapon aimed at her. I just have it kind of in a ready position, and I'm just still standing at the end of the hallway, and I shout down the hallway to her, "I will not hurt you if you drop your weapon."
Okay, she doesn't react to that quite yet. Sleepwell, I'll give you a chance to react, and then I'm going to allow Aramis to react to any of this, and Petra, but since Aramis heard this shot going off, see if he cares. So, first Sleepwell, what do you want to do?
I walk up. Well, I kind of charge in behind Kaz.
Okay.
Assess the situation quickly.
Okay, you see what I just described.
Yeah, and so then I'm going to use amend on Kaz.
Okay.
So that would...
For a second, I thought you said use amend, like you're going to like
amend Kaz's brain.
I realize who I am now.
You will never do that again.
So that heals.
6, looks like.
6. I don't know why I'm not seeing the rolls. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Okay. So
beautiful.
All right,
6 points of damage, and I say, just like I healed him, I can heal you.
Okay, so she doesn't raise her gun. Her breathing slows a little bit as she's just kind of staring at you. So Petra, allow you to react, and then Aramis. Petra, what do you want to do, having seen and heard all of this nonsense unfold?
Well, I don't really think that they need me standing in there complicating things and looming with my hammer.
Right.
So I'm basically going to take a position right about here and just sort of keep an eye on things.
Okay. All right. And Aramis, you heard the shot. What do you do, if anything? And you also heard...
What the hell are you guys doing down there? Do I have to really play dad in this situation again? And Aramis starts stomping in that direction.
Okay. And Kratos actually follows you. Layden stays behind with the other automaton, but sort of follows you. So go ahead and move over there in that direction there for me, Aramis. And Kratos will basically follow you as you go. So when you get there, you see the sort of scenario that I have described previously. The 3 automatons are currently sitting on the floor. You don't entirely know why that's happening. Petra is kind of like scanning the area, and then you can see through the doorway Sleepwell and Kaz staring at something out of your vision, out of your eye line.
Wait, what the hell's going on here? I heard a shot. Sleepwell, what did you do?
I healed Kaz, who's shooting at somebody who should not be shot at.
I'm just staring at the woman, waiting for her response.
Why are you shooting at her?
She's refusing to let us in.
It's kind of her job, isn't it? Why don't you just kill her?
Stop it!
Hey, I'm asking the questions. I want to understand.
We're not killing any. What is wrong
I'm not suggesting that anybody is killing.
We're not killing you.
All right,
I hear
all
that.
right, all right.
Look, kid, I know your disposition. I understand you love
try to
life.
shut the door.
Okay, so you turn around to
this
try to fill
kid.
the door. The door at the moment seems to be, it looks like you can close it. You're not 100% sure if you'll be able to open it immediately, Sleepwell. Like, you think there's like, the circuit seems to be kind of one way, without having to fiddle with it. So.
Oh, okay. I thought I'd hacked it open. So
you did. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can kind of flip the circuit back. You don't know whether from this end you'll be able to do it quickly or not.
Okay.
But
Well,
yeah.
I'll reconsider it. Instead, I say constructs guard the door. I want them to basically march, 3 abreast,
They do.
and block the door.
Okay, so they do.
Sleeple, what the hell are you doing? Why are you? What's going on here?
You
Well,
guys
are you not to be a homicidal maniac and kill a helpless person? Maybe you can enter polite society again.
I'm sorry, I'm not a homicidal maniac. I also didn't storm in here like you did. Now get out of the way and let me in and figure out what the hell's going on here. Because clearly the two of you are. Petra, why the hell? You're supposed to be watching the kids.
We just look at me. Look at me. I'm saying to the woman, just like look at me. I'm gonna take.
I'm still staring at her too.
Okay, so she is kind of looking back and forth at the two of you. And she's kind of staring at all of you and kind of, again, breathing heavily. And then from behind her, you can hear the sound of... It sounds like some engine that's starting up. It's coming from the space behind her somewhere, the room behind her.
Mm.
And she kind of, like, for a moment, she sort of looks over her shoulder and then sort of back at you.
So I point at, what's that?
And she says, it's probably the car.
The car?
Yeah, we got it's a hover car.
You guys drive around in here?
Outside of it, I don't know what's going on back there. Maybe some of them are leaving to go ride. They said they were going to do that. They came. I'm not supposed to be talking to you. Like, she almost realizes she's talking, and then she's like, ugh.
I turn to Aramis and Petra, and I say, if we're gonna go in, we gotta go, guys.
I'm sorry, I can't do anything. Sleepwell has decided that he owns this space, and he is going to put his little toys in front of the door. So until you can deal with cause,
are you really going to let the headless version of yourself stop you from entering this door?
Look, this was a bad idea in the first place.
You were shooting people, Kaz. Why are you suddenly, deciding how we're all gonna act? Why don't we all just take a moment and breathe?
And why should we listen to you, Sleepwell? Because you actually. Sorry, go ahead.
We're on a bit of a timetable, Sleepwell. I would love to talk about the way that we should be doing things.
You shot at her. She was harmless. We could have talked our way out of that.
Did I injure her at all?
No, because you suck.
You might be right, but we need to get going. This is literally a citadel full of people that want to kill us, except for, it seems, this nice woman. So, are we gonna go, or are we gonna sit here and yell at each other? Are we gonna yell at each other now or later? I vote for later. Petra, what's your vote?
I vote for later as well.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Tweedledum and Tweedledee. What's your vote? I look at Sleepwell and Aramis.
Now, Kaz, I know I get that reference. Kaz, seriously, I mean, I'm laughing on the inside here, buddy, but don't get me wrong. I tend to agree with you, but you've been making some really questionable choices right now. I don't tend to agree with the kid, but I don't understand the situation here, and clearly you felt you needed to take the shot. But at the end of the day, buddy, why didn't you just kill her? Why did you not take a kill shot?
Sleepwell, I see the face. I know. Because she didn't attack us. She opened the door, said, hey, get out. And I don't necessarily feel like killing anyone that says, hey, get out. If they're shooting at us, sure.
Because you're not a psychopath.
Yes.
And there's a moment where you're all sort of, occupied, like looking at her, talking to each other. And then as the sort of engine sound revs up a little bit more in the room behind, you hear the engine sound rev up.
What the hell is that?
And she kind of she suddenly kind of just starts to laugh. It is not a, haha, I've got you laugh. It's sort of a, I told you, this is what happens. This is what happens to everyone down here. This is what happens. You have the same problem we all do. You were all dead the minute you walked in here. This is what happens to everyone. You're going to be just like us, and you're going to spend all your time angry and yelling at each other just like everyone else. Because that's how they get you and keep you here. All the same way. Oh man.
I'm
Does
gonna
she
start
say
walking.
that loud enough for all of us to hear,
Oh,
or
yeah.
is that just
100%. I
okay,
mean,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sleepball.
It does not seem like she's shouting it, but it's very much just like, yeah, she's saying it out loud, yeah.
So I'm gonna whistle to my constructs, and I'm gonna just walk toward her slowly. They're gonna follow after me, and I'm basically gonna be like, "Look, I'm gonna have 2 of these robots walk you right out of here. You're gonna meet up with the big old robot waiting for us outside, and we're just gonna get you out of here. We'll just get you out. You'll be out. You'll be safe."
And she says, I've been trying to tell you, you can't get out now. None of us can get out. You're going to be dead by the time you can't leave here.
Why?
That's
What's
what I'm
gonna kill
saying.
us? What's behind that door? Just tell us. Just tell us.
And she just chuckles again, and she says, it's not the thing behind this door. It's elsewhere. It's
Okay,
elsewhere
what
where
is
you're going to find out about it.
Just tell us. Just tell us now. Just tell us.
And she points at you, Kaz, and she says, you're feeling strange, aren't you? You're feeling weird. You're already there. It's already happening. And it'll take them too. And then she points to, like, I'm going to assume she can just see the construct, like one of the constructs, just like, you know, like right near the door, let's say. So she points enough at one of the constructs. And then that one. And any of you who have anything, and she points like at laser pistols, like all that stuff, like seems to be pointing at specifically mechanical or computerized components of some kind.
Right.
And she says, all of you have got it now. And pretty soon you'll be just like him, and points back at you, Kaz. Just like you. It's going to happen. Sooner rather than later. So you take me out of there. I won't make it past that bridge, even if you didn't have the big robot there guarding it.
I hear you, Tano. I have a weird question for you. Where does this feeling feel the worst?
She kind of tilts her head. What?
Like you said, it's almost like you're describing some sort of a virus or a feeling of animosity of being down here. Where did that start for you?
And
Where?
She says, I'm not supposed to.
Ah, you know.
I'm not supposed to talk.
Mm.
I'm not supposed to talk.
All right, guys, we have to go. She's not going to give us anything else. And I start moving towards her.
So she lifts her gun, but it's not clear at what. Like, she just kind of holds it almost like sort of swaying, and then she topples backwards and just lies on her back, motionless.
I'm gonna run right up to her, take
Okay.
life signs, and see what's going on.
I'm looking through the door.
Say again, you're going to do what?
I'm looking through the door that she was stood up against,
Yeah,
the one that's malfunctioning.
So the door, right, as it sort of opens and closes, you catch just sort of the sight of what looks like another small room behind it, and what seems like, again, shelves. There might be maybe mechanical metal plates back there, but you can't make it out because it's only opening like a couple inches at a time and then closing again over and over again, as if something's, as if it's stuck on something. There doesn't seem to be anyone in the room, or at least not that's making themselves visible. They could theoretically be hiding, on the other side of the door, Kaz. Sleepwell, as you're sort of bend down to her, you can see that she's motionless, and she doesn't seem to be, her breathing is very shallow.
I'll take a pulse to see, if
Make a medicine check for me.
yeah. Just making sure this is what I think it is, and it is. Not good, an 8.
You can't tell what's going on, but there is clearly something. Her heart rate is astonishingly high, maybe 170, Her heart is racing at an incredible high rate of speed. You can feel just sweat, like her body just feels like it's burning up. If you were just guessing, from just experience, it's as if her metabolism is racing at this incredibly high rate. But normally that's the reaction of someone who's going through poison, but that would affect her in other ways. And it doesn't seem to be like she's not convulsing or anything like that. The only thing you can think of, actually, I'm trying to think if you would know about this. Yes, make a computers check for me, please.
Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, critical fail.
No. You rolled. Actually, you know what? Both of those ones you rolled are 1d8.
Oh, those are 1d8s. God damn it! I'm sorry.
So,
all right.
So maybe let's roll that medicine one again then. How about with
here's
the 20?
The medicine. 14.
All right, I'd say that's a similar result, except to say that I'm going to give you a +1 on the computers check because of the medicine roll.
Okay. So it's a 5.
Okay,
terrible.
We're getting these out of the way early. The only thing you can think of is that this isn't normally a way. This person is almost certainly Promethean, from what you can tell. You're not expert in the way that Prometheans react, but they have many similarities to human physiology, and the only thing you've ever thought of that's associated with this is mechanical failure.
Right. I'm gonna just quickly pat her down, look around her body to see if I see any kind of implant.
Okay, I will have you make an investigation check. In the meantime, now that are you asking your automatons, by the way, are they still staying at the door, or are they moving at all?
I wanted them to follow me, so
Okay.
I basically wanted them to trail after
So
me.
then Aramis, that means the door's clear if you want to go in. Also, what happened to you, Aramis, your token? You seem to have vanished off the face of the earth. I'm not
I
sure
don't. Hold on a second. No, my token. Wait a minute. Maybe. I think Petra's on top of me. Actually. No, that's weird. Okay. It's a bug.
It's you've winked out of existence, and that's just how this works.
Shows up in Middle Earth.
It's a big crossover.
Yeah.
Okay.
The big crossover that leads me to smoke a lot of.
That would certainly do that. Yes. Okay. So you're back. All right. So Aramis and Petra. So Kratos is there, by the way, looking at both of you as if to say, like, the hell, like, sort of like looking at both of you as what you want him to do. And the question is what either of you or both of you want to do, if anything.
Can we still hear the engine?
Yes. It's continually revving.
All right. Aramis is going to step into the room, shoot Kaz a dirty look.
Oh, I thought you were.
I thought the same thing. Just Mandalorian style. Blam, and then like, all right, IG-11, goodbye.
Like, oh, this is how it starts, huh? This is the moment that hope dies.
And
Genesis comes to an ignominious
Yes.
and immediately make my way towards the door behind Kaz,
you shot me.
behind her Sleepwell and the body.
Okay. So you can do that, and you see the same thing about the door, like like opening and closing, opening and closing. And you see the same things I described to Kaz. Do you want to do anything when you get to the door, and then I'll come to Petra, and then I'll come back to Sleepwell?
I want to try
Kaz.
to either repair or hack the door in such a way that it allows me to actually just open the door.
Okay, well, I'll give you two options on that. You can try to basically force the door, that's mechanics, or I'll ask you to see if you can maybe hack the door, that's computers.
I'll hack the door.
Okay.
I think as I'm looking through the door and in Kaz's disposition of wanting to move on, my goal would also be to get the door open, so I'm going to help him in whatever way I can.
Okay, well, what you could do is do the mechanics roll to try to force it, and while he's trying to hack it. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah, I'll do that.
So go ahead and make the computers check first for me, Aramis.
You got it. Here we go. How about an 18?
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, so you managed to figure out what exactly was done when the door got shot. There's basically a short circuit. So you're able to set it so basically the door You think you've got it, and it's the reverse Han Solo in Return of the Jedi moment, to jump out of character for a minute, where he's like, I think I got it, and then the door closes. The door opens, and it's like, and clearly is not going to close again, at least not easily. So the door is now open. And so you're able to see past it into the room beyond, and it's actually a small little room that's actually, not very sizable. That seems to be a kind of antechamber that is leading to where the sound of the revving engine is coming from, through this little door to the south that you can see here.
There's nothing else in the room?
No, there is nothing else in the room. I should take that back. There's one set of shelves over here and one set of shelves here, and there are these metal plates that are along the walls and on the shelves. I'm sorry, that is there, with cobwebs, etc., like the room you're in. But no one is in the room. No person is in the room, and the door itself is open. Yeah, so.
Gonna push forward to the next door.
Okay.
Yes.
Start to take a look at it.
As you're doing that, I'm going to come to Petra. Kaz, you're following him? Okay,
Yep.
So you are. Petra, what are you doing as this is happening?
I am moving up to here.
Okay. All right, so you move up there. You see where that is. Kratos is going to follow. Okay, sleep well. You were looking for an implant, I believe. Was that
That's right. I rolled an 11 on my investigation check.
So you don't see anything on her specific. There doesn't seem to be any obvious implants or anything like that. You don't see anything that suggests anything unusual. The only main mechanical thing that you see on her, at least outwardly on her, is the laser gun that she was holding, the pistol.
I'm just gonna take that out of her hand and put it in one of my robot's hands.
Okay. They have it.
And just see if that had any effect, just in case there was some weird thing going on there.
Doesn't seem to.
Okay. I say
Her
to
breathing is getting much more shallow, by the way, and a little bit labored as well.
I'm gonna I'm so sorry. I'm just trying to remember. I thought there was a skill that I had that was sort of like a stabilized skill, that was not like a spell, but it was like a stabilized sort of thing.
Let me double check it. There is, normally there would be a medicine check that for everyone in general allows you to stabilize.
Yeah. I wonder if I could use my medicine skill to just try to stabilize her in sort of non-Espery ways.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Well, Kaz has something, but Kaz doesn't know that you need it. So.
Yeah. You can do that. You can try to make a medicine check to see if you're going to stabilize her. Importantly, though, what are you? Because there's no outward wound. She looks tired and she's sweaty and feverish, but and her heart is racing, but there's no obvious, thing you can tell at the moment. So what are you trying to do with your? I know what you're trying to do with your medicine check, but how are you engaging
for
in
shock? Basically, I'm trying to get her calmed down in the ways that we treat people for shock. So. Okay. I'm trying to sort of I'll sit her up and elevate her head. Maybe I'll just use a little water or something to cool her a little bit, just trying to do the things that we do to treat people for shock.
Okay, so make a medicine check with that.
21. Okay.
So you do this in your practiced way. You have done stuff like this before, and she seems to be for Promethean age, relatively young, and seems to be like she would have been relatively healthy, although, as I say, clearly not feeling well at the moment. But despite your best efforts, she does not seem to be getting better. In fact, she seems to be getting worse. Again, breathing getting more labored and shallower. Still no convulsing, but the heart is just racing at this astonishingly high rate.
Can I try an Esper power here?
Sure.
I'm going to try the detoxify forging technique.
And detoxify, as I recall,
would you like me to read it?
Yes, please.
Okay. You supply a creature with a special antitoxin. If it is poisoned, you neutralize the poison. If more than one poison afflicts the target, you neutralize one poison that you know is present, or you neutralize one at random. For the duration, the target has advantage on saving throws against being poisoned and has resistance to poison damage.
Okay. So, yeah, you can do that, assuming, you would just bend down and explain that that's what you're doing to Sleepwell, I assume.
Sleepwell, let me try something, I say, and I reach down and various blue glows appear. And
As you're sort of doing this, you feel two things, Petra. The first is you feel like you're doing this really well. Like you feel like this is you're doing the power the way it's meant to be used. It doesn't seem to have any obvious effect. But as you touch the body of Tano, who's lying on the ground in this way, there is a moment of, I would describe it as like an electric shock, like what you would get from touching someone static electricity, right? And there's a moment sort of zap where your hand almost like involuntarily jerks back. And for a moment, that just happens, and you feel your own heart slightly increase in rate.
Meanwhile, while they're doing
They're
that,
just like, crap.
Aramis and I are basically, I guess, we're preparing to SWAT team special forces open this next door.
Yeah, let me come back to you though. I will
Okay.
get to that because I know I'm looking forward to the SWAT team moment, but
All right.
but I want to stay with Petra for a minute.
Okay.
So, and sleep well for that matter.
I think somehow the virus is affecting her body, and I'm not quite sure how this is working.
I've
I'm
looked
looking
at-
confusion and
Yeah.
sleep well.
I think it's true. It's like nothing is working. Like I don't know how to help her.
And so as you're looking over at Petra, sort of saying that, like, I don't know how to help her, you suddenly feel someone's, and obviously it's your patient, hand shoot up and grab your wrist and kind of pulls you down a little bit, and there's a little bit of spit fleck in her mouth, and this is you, Sleepo, that she's grabbing, and she says, "It's machines. Don't let the machines in. Don't let them in." And then she kind of faints again. Something about machines.
Yeah, don't let them in. Is that what I heard?
Mm-hmm. And that's probably loud enough that Petra might have been able to hear that too.
And I'll just repeat it to her. She said, "Don't let the machines in." I think the winter is like affecting people now somehow. Maybe she got infected by like nanites or something. I don't know, but like she's affected. And I think she's warning us against bringing in constructs. And so I look at my constructs, and I'm going to give the order. Take her. Forgive me. What is the name of the dude in the weird little hovel house?
Right. His name is, I think it's
Bastion.
Bastion, right?
Bastion. Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm going to say, carry her gently over to Bastion. And repeat and hand him this message. And so like I'm gonna just quickly like tear off a piece of something and just write down, try to stabilize her, use the medical robot to help her.
Okay.
And-
So they assuming that that's what you do, then they sort of gather around her, and lift her up and bring her out. And Kratos kind of steps back and watches as they bring her out, and then they say. Then he says, as they're brought out, "I heard that too. Does that mean whatever she's got, we've all got?"
I don't know what it means, but it's all the more reason to take the stupid thing down, don't you think?
Kratos nods, and you can see he looks very sort of troubled. Okay, now I will give Aramis and Kaz a chance to tell us what they're going to do SWAT team-wise.
Yes. I was going to, while they were discussing, I saw that Kratos had sort of followed Aramis in, but then stayed back.
Right.
So as we're ready to open this door, I would kind of gesture at Kratos to join us in this room.
Okay, so he walks over, none too assuredly.
Okay.
And
And at this point, seeing that Sleepwell and Petra seem to be done with the woman, I would also give them a look like we're about to go in.
All right.
I'm gonna call out to my construct here,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna instruct it to evacuate back to Bastion and await further orders.
Okay, and it does that, and within 30 seconds, Layden enters and says, "Unless you want me on that door, I don't think there's anyone else in that room."
You're with us.
And she nods in her usual impassive way. Okay.
All right.
Okay. So how are you guys? Are you just 1, 2, 3? Huh,
Is the
open?
door? Does it seem like it would just open? If we tried to?
Unclear. There's a panel next to it, like there has been with the others. So
what happens when we touch the panel?
So do you touch it?
Yep.
The door slides open, and when the panel slides open, what you are confronted with looks for all the world like some kind of a loading bay or maybe a garage. The area smells strongly of grease and paint and rust. There are tools that are scattered about the floor alongside drums and cans and hoses and old rags and so on. And in the middle of the area is a fairly decent-sized classic model hover car, and it has an improvised number plate at the front that reads Roach. But the thing that surprises you is that the thing is like, and there's no driver. And as you sort of are staring at it, the hover car starts shivering and turning in your direction.
Close the door.
Okay, so you close the door, and a second later, bam! Something slams against it, and there's this terrible sound of smashing metal and just like that kind of thing. And it literally shakes the room, like some plates fall off of the shelves in the room that you're in, and all that. And then you hear the engine, and the door, by the way, also is slightly bent in now, where you're standing.
Why was she protecting the door if they were trying to contain it?
I don't know.
We're
I think there's more in this room than just that car that tried to kill us.
Yeah, well, you know what?
A car tried to kill you?
Yeah, the vrooming sound, the reason I just closed the door and why there's now a car-shaped dent in the door is because a driverless hover car just rammed into the door. Driverless, by the way.
Oh, there was a driver. I think we all know who the driver was.
Yeah.
Behind the car, I didn't mention one thing you were able to see just as the door was open. Kaz and Aramis and Kratos can see this too. There were 2 large double doors that were made of metal, and there was a large steel bar sitting in a pair of brackets, and those double doors were clearly wide enough to accommodate the car. So, I mean, that obviously led out onto wherever this leads to. But those doors were closed.
I think the coast is clear. I go to open the door again.
Okay. So when you open the door again, you see the hover car, again, is still there. It is backed up farther into, away from the door in the room, and you can see there's a big, the front bumper is basically like half smashed in now. And it kind of shivers again, sort of unsteadily, and the engines rev again.
Is it possible that we can do a perception check to see anything else about the room?
Sure.
All right.
Anything in particular you're looking for?
Anything else besides what we've currently seen that might indicate either another pathway through or something else that might give us a clue as to what the hell's going on in there?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and make a perception
I mean,
check for me.
it's vague as possible because I really don't know what Aramis is looking for. He's grabbing at straws right now.
Okay.
Perception. I'll take a 15.
The only thing that you can see beyond what I've already described, these cans and hoses and rags and things like that, is that there are a couple of boxes, sort of, again, toolboxes, that seem to be filled of decent quality tools. And unless you're mistaken, Aramis, you think that you might see a little bit of a gap between the doors, the double doors, leading to the outside. So there's the bar that's holding the doors closed, but there's a little bit of a gap between those doors. They're not perfectly flush with each other, but you couldn't see anything from the outside. I mean, like, the light is coming from inside this building anyway. So, it's you're not sure what's outside, but there's definitely, it seems to be leading to something outside somewhere. There doesn't seem to be any other door exiting this room, though, just those double doors and the one that you're looking through.
And as this thing is about to do its charge again, slap the door closed.
Okay. And once again, wham, and more plates sort of fall, and the door now is even more badly bent in, and the sort of whole, room kind of shakes a bit. And Kratos looks over and he says, "It's a sure bet that car is going to either blow up or it's going to take the door out. But either way..."
I say, hold on, I have an idea. If
Your ideas have been pretty bad today, Kaz. It better pay off.
I hope so. And I go to open the door again.
Without explaining anything, just
Okay. The door opens again and reveals the car, which is now looking really badly messed up. The whole, the front bumper is hanging off it. It's kind of listing to one side, but it's still hovering vaguely. And it's kind of,
Okay.
As it's kind of...
Kaz runs and tries to jump into the car.
All right. I would like an acrobatics check from you.
Okie dokie.
I think
And as he's doing that, yeah. As he's doing that, Kaz, that's a really dumb idea.
How about a 12?
So you do this sort of jump forward and then kind of leap up. You don't quite get into the car. You get onto the roof of the car, the hood of the car, I should say, excuse me.
Okay.
The hood of the car. So you kind of are like on the front. So you're sort of like on the front with your face like right near the windshield of this thing.
Yes.
As it's back and forth. And you're sort of there and it's kind of vroom, 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 vroom. And then the car, the engines are revving up and up and up and up. And then the car charges forward again. Now, I need to know what Aramis, who's the other person closest to the door, is going to do here. You're muted, Aramis.
I was like, all right, folks, out of the way. And I have everybody get back behind the any way that's not directly related to the door, hiding in some way that the supports can actually protect us.
Okay.
Because Kaz is going to come flying straight through.
Yep.
Mhm.
And pretty much it's exactly what happens.
My goal, Kaz's goal, by the way, is if getting in the car as he was running would be to pull out the energy coil that I used to use to charge myself.
Okay.
And my goal would have been to hopefully before the car loses all of before the car dies, I wanted to try to find a way to get some of the energy from the car into the coil. But not sure how much of that I can do.
Yeah, I mean, because this is all happening within a matter of seconds. I mean, you can try to just ram the coil onto the roof of keep saying the roof, the hood of the car if you want.
I don't think that's gonna help.
Yeah, I mean, because there's certainly no time for anything else. Because you get onto the car and the thing is pretty much already kind of pushing forward again.
Okay. I think I would try to. Now that I'm on the hood and then I feel the car is going to ram face first, I would try to crawl the rest of the way across the windshield. Assuming, is this a convertible or is this?
Yeah, it actually doesn't have a roof.
Okay.
That's why I kept being annoyed that I said roof. Yeah, it's
yeah. Okay. So I would try to, in the few moments as it's like I hopped on it while it was still revving, I would try to climb the rest of the way in before it crushes me.
Okay, I will have you make a acrobatics check for me again then.
Okie dokie. 18.
So you, just as the car goes forward, you manage to like pull yourself over into the, other side of the windshield just as the thing goes slamming in. Now, because the door is now open, the front of the car, basically, which is already badly bent anyway, and sort of smashed in, kind of almost essentially jams through, and one part of the bumper comes off completely and is now stuck apparently in the door frame of the room that you're sitting in. So it's trying to like, and you're now inside the car, and you can see, Kaz, from your perspective, you're kind of half like, like tilted over this way, but you can see that the wheel indeed is, again, it's old classic style, so old and classic that the hover car has a regular, you think they used to call them radial wheel, like circular, and in front they've got these things, these pedals, and you can see that the pedals keep pushing, and the wheel is turning by itself, like trying to extricate itself. There is also in the front panel of it, you see like various dials and gauges and things like that. But there is also a blinking, what looks like a blinking card that is in a slot, basically. So a card that's in a small little slot right next to the radial wheel that you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And it's blinking red over and over again. Also, thank you, Rock God, for the resub. Thank you so much for the resub. I appreciate it, man. Thank you, dude.
All right.
Rock God, part of our new community D&D stream, by the way, which is being run not by me, but Shadowed Mage is the DM, and that's here every other Wednesday. So Rock God is part of it. So anyway, you can see the red light like blinking on this thing.
I go to pull the card out.
Okay. So when you pull the card out, there is this, and the engine just slops, and the car, rather unceremoniously, bang, just sort of hits the ground from the hover, and is motionless, with the bumper still in the front room where the rest of you were all looking.
And Kaz slowly raises himself up from the driver's seat and holds his thumbs up with the card, and then converts that into holding the card. It worked.
Well done.
I step out.
Wow.
You climb out, sort of, barely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we could just do a head desk right on it.
So the room is now technically open to you over the wreck of this hover car.
Aramis steps onto the hood of the car, through the door, looks over at Kaz, shoots him another dirty look, and immediately heads towards the big double doors to try to figure out how to open it.
Okay. What are the rest of you, Petra and Sleepwell?
I'm going to go in cautiously behind, kind of like pick my way over through whatever the hover car and give the room a thorough like scan, just like go over every wall and just sort of like see where we are.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to make an investigation check for me while you're doing that. Petra, what about you?
I'm going to do pretty much the same thing, moving in there and looking around, trying to figure out if there's anything that looks unusual.
Okay. So I will also have you make an investigation check for me, please.
Mine's a 17.
Okay. I will wait for Petra's
Mine's
as
an
well.
18.
Okay. So
Go off.
So I mentioned already that there are these sort of tools and rags and drums and cans, and you do see a couple of sets of tools. Sleepwell, you find one that looks basically like mechanics tools, tools that are designed for working on larger metal objects, such as a hover car or an enormous bridge guarding robot, I guess, like stuff that's designed for larger metal, machines. And Petra, you find a box of tools that also has in it what looks like maybe a soldering iron and maybe a blowtorch. Like this looks like metal workers' tools. So like one of them essentially looks like something for repair, and yours looks more like construction, like how you weld stuff together. And you can see actually on the car itself that there have definitely been modifications. There's a lot more chrome than you're familiar with in this century. There's a lot of, shiny metal that seems to be unnecessary that's been welded onto this and like carved into it. You can also see, now that you're looking at the back of the car, there is a very large roach insignia which has been kind of crudely burned, maybe even with the torch, into the metal of the back bumper. And that's essentially what you find as far as that's concerned. Aramis, the door itself, as you're looking, can see that this steel bar it's large, but you probably could lift it out yourself. It doesn't look like it's a two-person job. And there definitely is a gap between those doors. You can feel a slight rush of air coming from the outside. This is definitely leading to the outside. Maybe
what
not
happens
outside.
when I look through the gap?
Just outside, you can just see the light filtering from, from the room where you are to the outside. So you can only see a few feet in front of you, and it just looks kind of like dirt and stone and rubble. It basically looks like Sector 77.
Does it look like the only mechanism that's holding the door in place is the brace?
That's correct.
All right. Aramis pops off the bar.
Okay, and the door is actually, the minute you get the bar off, they almost kind of like they slightly open, just with that.
And he's going to grab a light, and he's going to look outside.
When you look outside, you can see that indeed this leads to the back of these 3 buildings. And in fact, let me just pop you back over to the map of the city. So basically back... okay. I'll expose a little more.
Right
yeah,
there.
exactly. It's basically the back of that. So you can see many more buildings back here. And the other thing you note is that at the very edge, right over here, there we go. At the very edge over here, you can see that there's a lot of rubble and stone that seems to be coming down from the sides. Remember, you're in this enormous cavern, basically. And so there are these sort of sides and rubble that leads down. And so the buildings kind of, not much past this point, sort of just stop, and then it's sort of rubble and stone. But you also can see, as you're looking through, that there are lots of dirt and stone and rubble, but also a bunch of tracks. And they look like not tire tracks, but a combination of different sized footprints or boot prints. Some of them clearly humanoid or humanoid-ish. Impossible to tell what kind, but they're definitely not enormous. But then there are other ones that are fairly sizable. And there are also some drag marks along here, too, as if there was like, a sled or a trailer or something that was pulled out of this, too. Out of this room.
Hey, Kaz, are you done playing Fast and Furious and ready to actually do some hard work?
Always.
There's some tracks over here, buddy. You want to come take a look at these and maybe not attract more trouble?
Sure. I pocket the card that I got from the hover car.
Okay.
And I would like to... Oh, yes. I actually am good at survival. For a second, I thought I was the one hunter that's like actually not good at tracking, but I am. I'll go over to the tracks. And so basically you're saying that there are tracks heading out of the garage and in the direction of the rubble that you were describing?
Right,
or
to the north. That's
okay.
correct. Yep.
All right.
And they sort of, just to kind of freehand it for a minute, they go like from here and then up that way, basically. So
okay.
they seem to be leading out and then up, basically to the northeast / northish. And I should say, by the way, and there's a lot of like disruption around these doors. It's obvious that lots of things have gone in and out of this, but these tracks are, if you had to guess, pretty recent.
Okay. I'd like to look at the tracks and try to determine what may have made them.
Okay. I will ask you to make for me. Trying to decide about that survival thing.
Yeah, I actually don't know if this would be survival.
Is there not something that basically equates to tracking of like prey for the hunter?
I don't think we're not necessarily trying to track it, because the tracks are actually like visible and we can see them. So we could just follow the tracks.
Right.
So
but isn't there like something that helps you assess sort of like what something might be based on the type of tracks you're going to find, even if you're not looking for a sign of something, you're actually trying to identify something.
Let me look.
The answer to that is yes, and since I think this is one of the first times we've ever had this come up in this system, I need to double check because I don't remember off the top of my head.
So I have a few things for wayfaring. It says says while tracking other creatures, you can also learn their exact number, their sizes, and how long ago they passed through the area. Right now, my quarry type is constructs and automatons, so if anything is relating to that, I get more bonuses and stuff.
Yeah, these do not look like constructs or automatons.
Yeah. So basically, I look at Armis and I say, what do you want me to do? We could follow them.
I don't know, buddy. I figured there was more that you could actually tell me about this particular situation. I was hoping you'd actually be useful.
Oh. I look at the tracks. I want to do what I first said I was going to do and try to figure out what may have left them.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you then to make let's make that a survival.
Okie dokie.
Check for me. Wow.
26.
You see every track ever. These are
nice.
These are relatively recent. They are boot prints of various kinds, and also, as I mentioned, what looks like maybe a trailer or something like that. If you had to guess, they might have been in some kind of like a cart or something, or carrying a cart or pulling a cart. But the thing that you note is that the tracks are spaced fairly far apart, as if whoever made these tracks were running. There were a fair number of them, like maybe 8 to 10 sets of tracks if you had to guess. But the other thing is that you can see that they actually go behind a building, a close by building. And let me pull up the other map again. They go behind sorry. That doesn't help you if you can't see it. They go behind a building right over here, and you then can't see them. So again, there's like 3 also I'll freehand it. So it comes out of this third building, comes around here, and then it goes behind this building.
Okay. All right.
And the tracks, by the way, are fast and erratic. So not only far apart, but kind of all over the place.
I turn to the group and say, they obviously at some point knew that we were entering into this place. A big whole bunch of roaches just left with something important, and they were in a rush. So I suggest we probably follow after them. Best case scenario, it's whatever's sending the long winter signal. Worst case scenario, it's people transporting something important to the roaches, and when you have something important to the roaches, you might get General Blatt, who might know more about the thing we're here for. So, and I just stand by the hangar door. Well, or you guys, do you need anything else?
Nice job, Kaz.
Thank you. It's been a while since I've heard that.
Couple hours.
I look at Sleepwell.
Yeah, nice job. Are you feeling okay?
Sure.
You took a bullet not too long ago, and then you jumped into a moving hovercraft that was trying to ram into a door. And you haven't been acting like yourself.
Maybe there's more facets to Bellare than I've let on.
Oh, okay.
No, that's not really what I mean. I guess I think the situation is a lot more quick and eminent than a lot of us are interpreting. I'll reiterate this. These tracks were made probably within the past couple hours, probably much sooner than
Minutes.
that. The past couple of minutes. So if I seem like I'm in a rush and making very quick decisions, it's because they are literally getting away from us right now.
Yeah. Let's move.
Let's
Go
go
after them.
All right. Does
Okay.
anyone want to I think since we're here in New York, was it Batman? Was it Roach Man? No. What was it? There was like a, what do they call it? A champion? No. Like a person that I don't
You know
know.
what, Cause, I'm gonna stop you
folklore
right
from-
there.
Okay.
You there's this guy called Iron Man. You're perfect.
No,
You're perfect for that.
that's not it either. No.
Yeah, I think
I'm
that's
ta-
exactly what.
And I
Maybe
pull out.
you know there was this other one they called Vision. He seems more like you. Maybe that might work.
No, I pull out my grapple gun. I'm like, he swung on grapple guns or something.
Oh, that was definitely Batman.
Okay.
But hold on.
But he
hold
was
on,
from
hold
New
on, hold
York.
on.
I don't think Batman's from New York, though.
Were we in a
Technically-
hurry?
Does anyone want to be Batman with me?
And Aramis is like, "I'll be your Robin, baby."
There you
Okay. My Robin baby. Okay. Paz just looks confused even though he can't make faces. And then him and Aramis out of there.
Exactly, nonstop. The tick. The city. The city. All right. So, all right. You go rushing out then, following
Yeah.
his tracks, if I understand correctly.
Yes, and I'd like to, with Aramis, because my grapple gun can hold 2 people, or support 2 people, I would like to get onto the roof of this building right there.
Which one? The closer one or the far one?
The closer one, the middle one.
Do you want to go now, because the tracks go around and vanish out of sight? Do you want to
Yes.
get up and then go over and look down where the tracks go, or do you want to go where the tracks go here and then rappel up the side of the building or whatever? If you follow what I mean. So go up the building before you see wherever the tracks are leading, or go to see where the tracks are leading first?
My inclination is not to follow the tracks directly, not to step in the tracks themselves. So I think my goal is just to get the building, get to the top of the building, and basically just see, because if we lose sight of the tracks at the end of this arrow, I want to see where they continue. Basically, that's all.
All right. So this building next to it is another 3 or 4 story building, actually.
Okie doke.
So you can grapple up there. I believe we did the grapple gun the last time.
Yeah, it has a check associated.
Okay, that's
with
what I thought. So.
All right, I will do that.
And you're holding on to Aramis.
Yes.
Don't drop us.
I will try not to.
I can show you the world.
Let's see.
No.
Grenade launcher.
I know what it's gonna
no. Grapple gun. There you are. DC 12 dexterity.
Okay.
Every time I use this gun, I fail the first roll. So let's see if the tradition upholds. Nope. Another natural 20.
You are inspired by the presence of Robin, no doubt, and
Yes.
you go flying up onto the roof with no difficulty whatsoever. This building feels none too stable to you. It's a little unstable, but it's okay enough. You're on top of the roof. There's a lot of burned out windows below you and like scaffolding that's visible. And you can see, especially that the part of the building that's closer to where you just left seems to be even more smashed and destroyed and like that sort of thing. And so you run over to the edge of the... Actually, I shouldn't assume that. Are you running over to the edge of the building to look down at the...
Yes.
Okay. So you and Aramis see, as you look over the edge, a bunch of face-down bodies. The tracks come to an end, and the bodies are all down. Next to the bodies of these humanoid creatures, all of whom seem to be wearing leather jackets or some version thereof, is a sort of large, long metal trailer of some kind. And there appear to be a couple of crates in them or something like that. But they are all moving, and none of them are they are all there, and none of them are moving.
Where are Sleepwell and Petra?
They are, I assume, still ground-based. So
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that they are, I should ask, Petra and Sleepwell, are you, like, running along the ground tracks then, or?
I would presume so.
I think running is an overstatement, at least on Sleepwell's side. He's definitely sort of like watching what they're doing and kind of tracking slowly after them, but hugging walls and being slow and cautious.
Okay. So, go ahead, Petra.
The other thing that Petra's doing is because Petra felt her heart race just a little.
Yes.
She's kind of monitoring that and making sure that more manifestations are not occurring.
Yeah, she has not felt anything more, but in general, it feels like your heart rate is a little faster than it was.
Okay.
And as you walk along stealthily or whatever, just carefully kind of tracking and get to the corner and look around, you can also see these bodies just kind of face down and the metal trailer kind of lying on the ground next to them with several crates inside it.
Hey, Sleepwell?
Are you on an intercom? Is that how I'm hearing you?
Yeah, I'm using the communicators or the comms.
I'm here.
There's a lot of them there, and I don't advise getting close, but can you do any type of like remote medical scan?
No, I don't have any equipment with me that could do that.
I pipe in and say, you were inspecting the woman. That I'm guessing she fell unconscious. Maybe the same thing happened to these guys.
We were trying to help her, and nothing normally medical could help her. I mean, Petra even tried to detoxify her, and that didn't work. So whatever's going on with these people, I think it might be weirdly mechanical in some way.
As the conversation is continuing and everybody's focusing on the bodies, Aramis is going to step back from the edge and start scanning along, basically doing, like a sort of a survey of the area, the surrounding area, to see if anything else stands out or is a miss. You want a perception roll or some kind for that?
Yes, I would like a perception roll.
Okay, 1 second.
And making sure that, essentially trying to determine which now? Like, determine what?
I'm trying to determine if there's anything else troubling or unsettling in the area. Basically, a general sort of like survey of, oh shit, we've got something coming, barreling towards us, kind of a thing, versus like being able to see minute details. It's a general survey.
Gotcha. So looks like an 11.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't seem like that. There are still lights, of course, flowing out of... there's light flowing out of the Roach Citadel to your south. And you can see and kind of hear sounds on the other side of the trench, somewhat farther off to the south. Other than that, you don't really hear a lot of... There is some kind of scrabbling and scratching and movement here and there throughout the city, but you can't really see anything specific. There doesn't look like there's anything directed towards you. And there's definitely no movement coming from the creatures downstairs, although I know you said you weren't focusing on them.
And I will share that with the group as the rest of them are doing whatever their assessment is on the ground.
So are those crates... Like, are those Serge Canassi crates?
They don't look big enough to hold Scourge Kanasi, although you'd have to get sort of closer to be able to determine for sure, but they don't look that big.
I say, if you guys go up to take a look, I can cover you from up here, and Aramis too, if he's going to stay up here.
Not going anywhere just yet.
So yeah, and I over the intercom and making sure that the Madakai can hear us too, I say, I think we just need to be extra careful. Whatever affected that woman back there, it was like she was infected by a virus of some kind, but it was a weirdly mechanical sort of thing. So like we don't really want to touch anything right now if we can avoid it. We want to do things from a distance if we can. Is there any way that you can maybe, I don't know, shoot open a crate or use a telescope to look around or do things from a distance up there?
I have a black hole gun. I'm just kidding. Well, I'm not kidding, but sure. Nope. I don't particularly feel comfortable shooting a crate filled with an unknown substance. So,
Hey, Sleepwell, what kind of equipment are you going to need to be able to assess this situation?
I'm going to need to get up close to them, which I don't particularly want to do.
You don't. So you can't get up close to them, but you already were up close to somebody else, the woman that you didn't want cause to shoot, and you weren't able to actually assess the situation there. What can guarantee your ability to assess the situation?
Guarantees in medicine doesn't really work that way. I mean,
in a general sense, not the details, buddy.
All I'm saying, man, what is with you today, RMS? Oh, it's what's with you every day. I almost forgot.
We don't have time for this. People are dying.
I don't think, based on my assessment of that woman, that we should be getting near these people and possibly exposing ourselves to some kind of unknown pathogen. That's my medical opinion. I think if we had hazmat suits, it would be a way better situation.
Are you sure that? What's making you think that if you guys were already working on this woman that was subjected to this and nothing happened to you, what makes you think that that's going to happen here? Like, it's not airborne if it is.
Well,
nothing happened to either of you.
What we're walking into. For another thing, I don't know that I'm not exposed.
So
she was saying that we were all exposed. So the sooner that we figure this out, the faster that we're going to be able to get done with this.
I mean, Sleepwell, if you have another suggestion of what to do, but right now, these crates obviously have something valuable, and that's the only lead that I've got at the moment.
What else is in? So at this point, I'm going to scan the area and just kind of see, like, because there are 3 buildings, right? So, like, where are the other 2 buildings, and like, what do their entrances look like?
So there are 3 buildings. From where you're standing, you can actually see that you came out of what looks like the 3rd building, or at least the edge of the 3rd building, which is over here, basically. And it looks like the buildings were connected to each other, and that there is more of sort of, I don't want to, like, here, basically, and you can kind of make out some of the outside of another sort of smaller rounded area, basically. In fact, I can probably reveal some of that. There's like a smaller rounded area down here that looks to be roughly a little smaller, but about the same shape as this building, which is where the garage was that you just came from. So you can see that, and then there appears to be another building up here, which is smaller. So 3 plus, 3 similarly shaped area, 3 similarly shaped tower buildings, essentially, and then 1 here that kind of connects all of them.
We went, I'm saying this over the intercom now, we went kind of charging through one area, and we didn't really explore back there. We might be able to get more information if we just double back and take a look to see what's there again before we just go charging in.
It feels like somebody needs to stay and pay attention to what's going on here, whilst others go and check that out.
Say that one more time, Sleepwell.
There are 2 towers yet that we haven't explored yet, and they might contain information that would tell us what we're dealing with, rather than just walk into this basically what looks like a killing box that wiped out all sorts of people.
Yeah. Well, Petra, what do you think? You're muted right now.
I am reluctant to set foot in what has been described as a killing box because it seems to me to have much the same resemblance.
All right. We can move to another tower.
Does that sound good? Check another tower?
I say we return back here. I reclaim my constructs, and we meet basically right here, and we start moving to some of the places we haven't opened yet.
Okay.
All right. Is anyone staying to watch over these bodies? They don't seem to be moving anywhere, but these bodies in this trailer, or are you just going, are you all collectively leaving to go back there?
Does someone want to stay behind?
I ask...
One of the Matakai? Yeah.
Yeah. I ask Kratos or Layden, I say, Kratos or Layden, would either of you like to come up to the roof of this building or somewhere else you prefer to keep an eye on these crates? We're pretty sure they're valuable. It's just we don't know if we're equipped to go up to them right now.
And so Kratos says, I'll watch over some crates and bodies if you want, but I'm not going up on a roof. Matakai belong down on the ground.
All right. So Kratos will watch over the crate. It's crates.
He looks at you as if he doesn't get the joke.
Wasn't a joke. All right. And I go to rappel down, and I assume I'm taking Aramis with me. Okay. We go down, and then I say, Sleepwell, did you say you want to go back in through the garage and then go back to the first room where there were the 2 doors?
That's right.
Okay.
Here, basically where I'm blinking.
So,
and in the meantime, I'm going to sort of like make my way there first and try to gather back my constructs so that they can rejoin me here.
Okay. Yeah, your constructs have returned after dropping off the body of Tano with Bastion as instructed, or so it seems. They return to you through the annihilated front of this place.
I just checked them to see if any of them have a note maybe back from Bastion.
They don't. No, they're not carrying any kind of note.
all right. And then we head back into the garage and make our way back to that room where Sleepwell is.
Okay. Gonna move.
And then do we still hear the weird, creepy lady voice or person's voice from the north room?
So if you go back into this, like all that, okay. And actually, before you do that, I will just briefly stop for a second to say welcome to everybody. You are watching day 38 of Esper Genesis, Viral Fallout, the creepy Minority Report edition, apparently. And I'm joined as always by Johnny Pittman, Video Store Cowboy, by Cap Rambo, by Carlos Hernandez, and by Zach Clay. You should double check them and find out all about them. And you can do that by doing !Esper Crew if you want to know more about them. And as always, thanks to our sponsors, Alligator Alley, as we play through this amazing system. All right, as you get to the that door, the sort of northernmost door, as you're listening to the northernmost door, as you're listening to it, you can hear coming from it what sounds like just this. It sounds like almost some kind of music, that's coming from the door now, and so you hear just kind of this, and then like very old school style music. You don't know what this is, but you can definitely hear it through the door
Some
to the
Fallout New Vegas radio.
Yes, exactly. Oh God.
I don't want to set the world on fire.
Fire.
Oh God. What was the one that just played on constant loop? It was oh God, there was one that was like
If you sing it, I'll probably
no,
remember.
it's like he like don't remember. It's like he called him the Rambler. Not the Rambler. What the? Oh God, it's like burned into my brain. I can't remember.
I don't remember either.
Anyway, but yes, so old style music.
I shrug and look at everyone else.
I'm looking to see if there's a panel there.
There is, in fact.
I back up.
There is, in fact, a panel there. Yes.
I go as far away as I can while still having a clear shot through the door.
Okay.
So,
yeah, then there is one.
So I'll walk up to said panel. I'll signal to constructs to kind of like form behind me here.
Okay.
Basically asking them to have their guns at the ready, pointing at the door. If anybody points anything at my head, they should be able to jump on that nonsense.
Okay.
I look at everybody else to make sure everybody's ready for me to try to activate the panel.
Okay. And they all, are you all said ready?
Shrug.
I am.
Okay.
I try to activate the panel.
Okay. The door slides open smoothly and reveals the exciting appearance of a corridor, which
A
extends
new corridor
to the north, just a few, about 20 or so feet, and then
So,
ends at
rinse-
another door.
In repeat. I go in. In come. Here come the constructs.
Okay.
Send in the drones. They're already here. I can't quit clicking. There it goes. I kind of wait for others to join me here.
Okay.
Music any louder?
Yes, the music is definitely louder.
Is it clearer? Can we actually hear what we're listening
Yeah, it sounds like sort of and that's why I'm finding you today. Right?
Jesus Christ! When did we get into BioShock? Shit!
The Citadel of Values. No, you don't hear all that. But you do hear that old style music. And then you hear what sounds also like canned laughter.
Does Aramis recognize this song? Is it an old standard? That's something that
Thinking about having you make a history /lore check for me.
You know what? I'm actually really good at those.
Sure, make a history check for me. Let's see. Or lore.
How about a 15?
You actually remember, Aramis, in some of your travels, there have been times when you've had occasion to have been drinking a little more, and you kind of downtime. You kind of go over some of the vid feeds, and they have some of these old channels that have what used to be these old, basically archaeological dig videos now, vid things of stuff that you think maybe were called movies at some point. I mean, that might have been a term that you heard before. And you think you remember hearing this music as part of a holiday style movie where it was a very popular holiday movie, and it was something about something taking place in the wintertime and people singing, and you seem to remember that there was this movie that might have been called The Woman with Green Eyes, and this music would play in the credits.
Huh.
Nice one, Greg. I don't know that movie.
It ran a lot, actually, quite a bit. It was, and this was on a vid feed that you think was called maybe TNT Classic something. You don't know for sure, but it was something like that.
All right. So if Aramis would know this enough, he'd start to hum along and maybe start singing a couple of bars along with it.
All right.
Badly, but still sing along.
Okay.
And
And this pleasant moment lasts for a long time. Okay.
Sleepo is just like, so much for surprise, and puts his hand on the panel again.
Okay. And the door does indeed open. What you see here is a large oops, sorry. Never mind, you didn't see some of that. I apologize. Nope, damn it. It's the other way. Sorry. I revealed too much. Okay, well, you might have been able to figure out there are rooms there anyway. Sorry. So you see a large, at least one half of a large circular room that seems to take up most of the building, one of the buildings that you saw actually from the outside. And in this place, there are a pair of Perspex dining tables and about 20 plastic chairs that have been stacked against one wall of this room. There are about a dozen bedrolls and cots that are scattered across the floor, and there's an enormous vid screen hanging from the northern wall, and sure enough, it's playing this popular old holiday movie called The Woman with Green Eyes. And right now it seems to be playing the closing credits. So you just see the kind of credits rolling. There are also 10, count them, 10 people here. Roach gang members, undoubtedly. All with leather jackets. All of them face down and unmoving, scattered around the room.
And so,
where was the laughter coming from?
It's hard to tell, but it certainly sounds like it was coming from the same sound-producing speakers that are producing the music now.
Did it sound like the same sort of like fake voices that we had heard earlier as we approached?
Indeed, it did.
So, I hold my hand up. I instruct the constructs to guard this door as I walk back to our group here, and just apprise them of the fact that there are 10 dead roaches face down, or supposedly dead roaches,
belly down.
Yeah, down on the ground there. It's like they might have been exposed as well, or maybe just killed. I don't know what we're dealing with. I would really want a hazmat suit right about now.
At this point, Sleepwell, we're probably already exposed. I mean, even I, sort of somebody who knows absolutely nothing about medical training whatsoever.
Well, let me tell you, there are all sorts of different ways to get exposed, and putting yourself more at risk doesn't make a lot of sense.
I completely agree with you. That being said, at this point, we just need to move fast and figure out what the hell's going on here.
Great. After you.
Also, there are two, as I accidentally revealed, 2 doors to the east as well, out of this room.
How are the bodies laid out in this particular room? Are they scattered are they in the chairs and laying like face down, or what's going on here?
There are a few that are scattered in chairs. They are mostly face down on the ground, but as you look at this, Aramis, you can also see that most of these things lying face down are sort of in various states of
decomposition.
No, convulsion. There are arms like reached out, arm behind them, legs behind a couple. One of them has an arm up on the table, and their hand, sort of claw-like, is attached almost to one of these tables. One of them has one of the plastic chairs on top of them. So they died happy. That's not, well, Norway. That's
Can I make an insight check to figure out if they were? I mean, so what you're saying is that they're in various states of movement or agony.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily want to classify it as agony because you wouldn't be able to necessarily tell, but it does not look like they just peacefully lay down and died.
Did they look like they were moving in a particular direction as a group? Were they trying to accomplish something?
No, all over the place.
All over the place? Okay.
Yes.
All right, Aramis is going to move fully into the room, get an assessment of the situation.
Okay. When you come fully into the room, you can sort of see, as I mentioned, the screen, and you can see these two doors that I mentioned that are sort of extending to the east. And you can see that there are also a number of guns, like laser pistols, rifles, and things like that, scattered near the bodies as well. In fact, a couple of them are actually holding the rifles or guns, and they're just sort of out or flat underneath them or something. And as you're looking at them, it doesn't take a medical sort of knowledge, Aramis, to see that these people have not been dead long. This is a matter of, you don't know if it's minutes, but hours. It definitely is not weeks, or maybe even days.
So while Aramis is assessing, I'm going to instruct my constructs to move to each of the doors and just sort of guard them, basically.
Okay. So you got one there. You want, okay. So two
Just
on each.
moving them to each of these two doors here.
Okay. Yep. And I should also mention that this door down here, I did correctly reveal. This is open, and there are in here some more like what looks like canisters of some kind, but the canisters look mostly to be open. There are one or two closed canisters, but most of these look open inside this little sort of antechamber here.
So as Sleepwell's constructs move into the room, I yell back to him and explain the situation that I see in front of me off to the side.
Okay.
Sleepwell moves in. I'm going to take a look at the nearest body and see if I can assess the cause of death.
Okay. So go ahead and you're just doing this from a distance, right? Like you're just looking down at it, or like what are you?
No, I've kind of resigned myself. I do have a medical kit, so I assume I can at least put on some gloves and maybe
Okay.
a mask that does nothing. But
Make a medicine check for me, please. Actually, wait, hold off on that. Make a perception check for me first.
Okay. So, perception. Do it this. So that's a 15.
As you're looking at the bodies, you can see this one that you lean down next to is actually face up, just sort of staring sightlessly, clearly dead. But you can see it looks as if their lips are moving. This looks like a dark-haired, maybe human, if you had to guess. Probably not Promethean, probably a human. And their lips are moving, or it seems that there's motion around the lips.
Do I hear any sound? It's my excellent
No.
cat hearing.
You do not hear sound.
Um,
I take that back. No, I'm sorry, I take that back. There probably is the very slightest of buzzing sound.
So, I'm going to put my hand on his jaw and see if I can feel anything that feels extracurricular, so to speak.
When you put your hand on his jaw, you feel more than that. You feel this sensation of tingling on your hand.
Like static electricity?
Yep.
When I squeeze, does it feel like bone or does it feel like metal?
When you squeeze, it does feel like bone, but the tingling continues, and you feel your heart rate increase a little bit, Sleepwell.
I'm going to let it go.
Okay. You do. The heart rate stays where it is. Your hand is still tingling, though.
I'm going to say to Aramis, whatever you do, don't touch any of the bodies. I think this happened to Petra too. My heart rate is up, and right now my hand seems to be tingling in an odd sort of way.
So you're thinking it's biological and by contact at this point?
I think so. I think I just made a bad mistake.
You can see now movement on your hand, Sleepwell.
When you say I see movement, what sort of movement?
It seems as if your hand is, for want of a better term, shimmering. You would need to examine it closely, but as you're just looking at it from a distance, a slight distance, your hand seems to be blurring, might be a way to describe it.
At this point, I'm gonna, 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 I'm gonna I'm gonna just sort of like get scared,
I'm going to panic.
I'm going to do an EMP pulse to see if I can basically, like, if we're talking about some sort of like nanite or whatever, I can just basically like blow it off.
Okay. When you do the EMP pulse, two things happen. One, you feel this jolt run through your body. You take 2 points of damage.
Okay.
Damn it.
Puts me at 44.
Yep. Secondly, your hand, the motion on your hand stops. And you hear essentially what almost sounds like as if someone were to pour ball bearings onto the ground at your feet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, there's a certain small type of robot that I could take out, but so I'm gonna can I find the ball bearings? Can I look down and see if I can find any sample of what might have?
Yes, barely. I mean, you would actually need some kind of like, as you can't really see it, but as you put your hand down, you can feel this. You can feel stuff on the ground now below your feet, but it doesn't feel like ball bearings. They feel like jagged. I mean, not like they're hurting you or cutting you, but like they feel like there's angles and edges that you're running your hand, even though on the floor it just looks like you've got your hand on the floor, but there's definitely something extraordinarily tiny that's on the floor, that's like on top of the floor around your feet that you can not see, but you can definitely feel it.
For the sake of time, I'm gonna just sort of like say I summarized this information to Aramis
Okay.
and everybody over the intercom.
Okay.
And I'll end by saying, it looks like there's some sort of like very tiny robots that are being used to infect biologicals. So we need to do whatever we can to avoid all physical contact with these things. And Petra, I'm going to need to get you into a lab ASAP to get them out of you.
Okay.
So what was the name of the droid that we were talking to, or the robot that we were talking to before, that we loaned to Bastion basically as a deal?
5 was the last part of the name.
Right. Yes.
Saren
Seneca
5.
5 or something like that?
Yes, I think it
Saren
is.
5.
Say again?
Saren 5.
Yeah, that's right. Saren 5. Yep.
I look at Sleepwell after he conveys all that, and I say, didn't Saren 5 say something about being the where we found him was like a medical facility?
That's right.
Wouldn't that be the kind of place that you might possibly find some hazmat suits?
I think at this point, it would be really smart of us to try to find some hazmat suits.
At this point, I think we need to do that and figure out what's going on with Petra before she ends up like this. What I'm concerned about is leaving this situation here right now with the doors open. I don't know if we're going to find anybody else, but I don't want anybody else coming and not only getting infected, but in this particular situation, but also causing us more problems by thinking that they can take the Roach Citadel.
Oh,
I look for is there a way that I could plug in, not saying that I immediately want to do this, but is there a slot in which I could plug in the card that I got from the car? And even better, is there a way that I can have the card feed into the TV that's playing the movie? So the TV would serve as like a terminal to read what's on the card?
Right. Yeah, this seems to be a vid screen that's being fed from elsewhere. And you don't know where it's being fed from, but there's no obvious slot or anything like that to plug in this card here. And the vid screen, which is continuing to play, is obviously getting that feed from someplace, but not in the room that you can see.
Okay. And then but even aside from the TV at all, there's no terminals in this room at all?
Not any that you think are obviously in front of you. No, they're I mentioned the sort of perspex dining tables that are stacked against the wall, plastic chairs, a bunch of these bed rolls and cots that are scattered across the floor, with again bodies in various states of convulsion on top of the bed rolls, on top of the grabbing onto tables or the chairs on the sides of the room, just stretched out on their side. But yeah, That's essentially what you see, but not anything where there's slots or terminals here. Although, there's obviously other parts of the building too that you're aware, but
I say, and I got this card from the car. I'm pretty sure this has something to do with it too. We still have more rooms to check before we go then. Carlos, you're muted.
I think we really have to be careful. I think this thing is crawling with these nanites. We need to basically make ourselves immune before nothing good is going to happen if any of us are compromised.
All right. Your vote is to head back now?
Head back, get better equipment, come back in a way that we can survive this.
John, you're muted too.
Said, well, this is a red banner day. It's the second time, and it looks at an imaginary watch on his wrist that I've agreed with Sleepwell, but the kid's right. We can't guarantee that any of us are going to be safe at this particular point, especially since we don't know what the hell we're dealing with, other than whatever little assessment Sleepwell was able to do with this particular case. We need to make sure Petra stays safe. We need to make sure that this doesn't affect anybody else, and we need to get suits to be able to essentially protect ourselves until we can do something to eliminate this. Sleepwell, is there any way you can easily detect this, at least based on what you're seeing, so that we know if anybody else has been infected and or get him quarantined before it spreads? Because I can imagine it only is here on the Roach's side of the ravine, but if it sits across to the other side, who knows how far it'll spread.
Is there sorry, go ahead, Sleepwell.
He says, like, no, there's no easy way. We need some kind of nanite detector. I don't have one of those.
As he says that, he says, or cause I'm wondering, Zach is wondering, I have a thing that lets me scan for my quarry, which is constructs and automatons. Is there a way that I could narrow the scope of my scanner so that
not to the nanite level? It's
okay.
A good call, but not to the nanite level. You could definitely scan it, and I can even tell you now that you get a wildly powerful reading, like right all around you.
Okay.
Just like wom, 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 you know what I mean? Like, but narrowing it would be impossible.
Okay.
I would say, not without equipment that's beyond what you possess.
All right.
The good news, I say, is that my EMP pulse extends 30 feet in a radius around me, so this room is probably pretty clean right now.
Is Sleepwell's, after Sleepwell did the EMP, is his hand still tingling and is his heart rate still up?
His hand is not tingling, but his heart rate is still up.
Okay. And was Petra's hand tingling when she touched Tano?
When she reached down to her, she didn't really notice so much of the tingle, but I mentioned that little shock effect, because she basically detoxified with this Esper power, which means she's not quite on top of it. It's like a energy field, if you will. Whereas Sleepwell, you may remember, actually grabbed the jaw and squeezed and all that. She just kind of had her hand near it, and then there was this like energetic, static shock essentially, and then she still felt her heart rate. Now, I should also mention, by the way, Petra, that your heart rate has not gone up further, but it's still at its overall higher rate than before.
Yeah.
All right. We heading out then? Or do we want to check the last room? Or do we want to check the two rooms in here or the room down the hallway?
I think we regroup with Saren 5, especially, and find out if Saren 5 can identify what exactly is going on with us. And then we go back to the bar and see if there's any equipment that we can buy off of the bartender to see if we can make ourselves more secure.
Okay.
Sure, how?
Well, a hazmat suit would be a start. And
I'm going to assume Saren 5 is going to be able to point us in the direction for equipment and stuff. I mean, that's one of the reasons that Bastion wanted him. So I think we're just going to have to scavenge whatever we can at this particular point, unless there's something here. Because Saren 5 did say that the roaches were, kind of picking through the building as possible, as the best as they could.
Well, let's at least talk to Saren 5.
Agreed.
I have a first aid kit with 9 uses left, and I'd like to well, no, it's a little wonky. I ask, and I say to everyone, does anyone have like a bag or a vial or something that we could try to get some of these nanites in?
I do. I have a medical kit that has things like that in it.
Can you try to, without getting more on yourself, can you try to scoop some into your vial?
I
You
can
said you
take
could feel them, right?
I can take some of the inert ones, certainly. So I'm gonna do that. I'll open my medical kit, take out one of these vials, and scoop up
Okay.
some of the ones that I took out with the MP pulse.
Okay. And you can hear them rattling. Something is rattling, even though you can't see it inside the bottle. So.
Yeah. So I take that.
That's a cool party trick. All right. We heading out?
Yeah.
All right. So when you get back to, and you're bringing the automatons with you too, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So as you all move back into this room, when you get back into the room, and Layden is kind of looking, at all of you sort of impassively, and when you get back into the room here, so, and go ahead and everybody move your stuff back here. You can still see the destroyed kind of front. You can see, though, that Otto is out front here, who was guarding it. But Otto is looking a little odd. Like he's kind of...
Wasn't it Otis?
Oh, no. Was it? Did I say Otto? No, wait a second. Maybe it's Otis.
It was Otis.
Sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Hey, Otis.
I had it somewhere else. I literally wrote Otto, though. Okay, so it was Otis, huh? All right. All right. Otis. Otis is looking a little odd. He's listing to one side, a little bit to the right, and you can see his arm is kind of dangling below him. He's just kind of standing in front of the doorway. Well, what used to be the doorway.
Otis, is everything all right?
It's kind of like arm is moving. Occasionally you see it moves his head around a little bit.
I'm going to call out to Bastion and be like, Bastion, can you hear us?
And Bastion makes no reply. It is possible that he's on the, the other, like, far enough away that he might not be able to, maybe. But you don't hear any reply from him in any case.
All right. I'm gonna go ahead and say, like, I'm gonna send out the headless automaton.
Okay.
And he's gonna walk up to Otis and just kind of stand in front of him.
Thanks, Sleepwell.
As Otis gets outside of this area, so again, this area is destroyed in front. So like this spot here is all basically destroyed by the black hole gun. But as Otis, your automaton, yeah, won't you come? When the automaton gets to Otis, you see the automaton kind of comes to a stop, and it gets outside this door and then begins to walk, and its walking becomes labored and walks a couple steps further and then literally just tilts forward, Sleepwell, and hits the ground just in front of Otis and lies there, twitches, and then lies motionless. And Otis, kind of listing to the right, looks over in your direction and then kind of sways and then staggers forward and falls on top of the automaton.
Ooh.
And as you are staring out at them, you hear what sounds like a scream of pain or a shout of agony coming from over the trench. and it sounds an awful lot like Bastion's voice. And that is where we're going to bring the session to a close for this
Shit.
God damn it.
What?
Awesome.
Yes, now this is shorter than we would normally play for those of you who are curious, but we do have a couple players who have to get going a little bit earlier than today. But fear not, because we do have a second session that we are planning to get in, and it's a session you're not going to want to miss, because, boys, there's some tension that's built up in this slow burn nano-infection thing that
Yes.
seems to be happening, of all these things. This was, I have to say, I really, really, really enjoyed watching all of you slowly go through this, and the reaction, which was just a constant, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, nothing, God. It's just, it was really fun to actually watch. I will start as usual with Zach all the way on the right. Good stuff, Zach. I was really enjoying Kaz doing the stuff with everyone being like, "What the hell are you doing?" And then just being like, "Are you okay? Are you not okay? Are you fine?" So I was enjoying Kaz's just playing out whatever's going on. I was enjoying that. How'd you feel
I
about
was
today?
enjoying it too.
Okay.
Perhaps a little too much, but we'll have to see. I felt the plot thickens is the shirt we should all be wearing. I am curious to see what the heck is going on. That's all I have to say. And then after this is all over, the our crew here is gonna have to go get some post Avengers shawarma together and talk this all out.
Yeah.
So but yeah, it's gonna be very interesting, and I'm excited for the next session. The fine people, and only the fine people, because anyone that watches this channel is automatically a fine person,
That's right.
will find me on this channel. Yes, will find me on this channel doing Esper Genesis or on the Our Vocalists. And then I'm also streaming on my own channel, which is twitch.tv/Zach Clay, when I have the time. Right now I'm sick and in the middle of the busiest part of my job, so not a lot of time for a lot of stuff. But I did just start playing Breath of the Wild yesterday.
Cool.
And
That is a
let's just
beautiful
say,
game.
yep, I didn't know what I was missing out on. So that's my little break time here and there. I would stream it if I could, but yeah, tonight was a pleasure, and I can't wait to see what happens.
Good stuff, man. Thank you. Always a pleasure. Also, always a pleasure to see Sleepwell, who got a chance to actually stretch a muscle that I don't think you've been able to do too much with, which is, I mean, you've obviously done a lot of medic stuff, but you're literally like housing it up on this one, right? Like, I mean, it was really, you were really doing some medical investigation here, which was kind of interesting to watch, and just sort of being like getting increasingly irritated with Kaz, where you're just like, you're also out of control, like Aramis, whatever, but like Kaz too, and like it was fun to see Sleepwell kind of dealing with everyone just being like, semi-panic. So I was curious how you felt about today, and with lovely people, we'll see you next.
Yeah, it's tons of fun as always. You know, the exchanges. It says the group is, as we get together, and there are different interactions. You just see people filling different roles in different sessions, and so like agreeing with Aramis and yelling at Kaz. It's very funny to watch those different relationships move around.
Indeed.
And so tons of fun, and of course, sort of like knowing as a player sort of like what's happening, and then also knowing that your character either wouldn't know something or would act in a certain way in spite of that is always very interesting. And so Sleepwell knows that this is not the time to be touching bodies, but there's a kind of panic level and a kind of like exigency that leads to certain kinds of behaviors that he himself even doesn't condone.
Yeah, it's true, and it was really interesting for me to just kind of see the reaction of people kind of coming to grips with that, because I wasn't even creating ticking clocks for you. All of you were just kind of like, I think we need to move here, and then you're like, but then there's hazmat suits and all that. So it was fun to see that.
Yeah.
Where will the folks see you next, sir?
So I'll be at BosCon this weekend. Anybody who's out in Boston, if you haven't bought, your way into BosCon yet, it's not an expensive con. It's a smaller one, but a really, really old one. It's been going on for over 40 years now. They have a long history, and so it's a good little con. I recommend it. And so come out to Boston. I'm going to be on a bunch of panels. So will Greg, and really excited to test this role playing game that we're working on.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. I'm very much looking forward to that. And of course, you should also go check out, if you haven't already done so, Sal and Gabby Break the Universe and the imminent sequel, which will be, and I'm sorry, I know you told me this before. Imminent when? Like, when is the sequel?
May 5th. Sal and Gabby fix the universe, but bullshit, they don't.
May 5th, which will be an insta-buy for me and my daughter, because she's already read the first one and loves it. So so we will be reading the second one next. So, but thank you, Carlos. Look forward to seeing you this weekend. And yeah, definitely come out and come see us. Kat, again, it was always a pleasure. And I keep saying there's a lot of stuff happening with Petra soon, but it's also dependent on where the party goes and what they choose to check out. So at the moment, there was not as much on the medical side of things, but you did. The detoxify thing was a good call, and I was curious to see whether there was going to be how people were going to handle it, whether poison or otherwise. And watching you sort of being like, what is going on with my heart rate and all that? Like, there was there was a moment, which I'm sure you'll know, where you really paused for a while when I said that. And you were really, I could see the gears turning, like, the hell are you talking about? Like, so that was really fun to watch. I don't know how fun it is to imagine what could be going on, but it was enjoyable to see it. How did you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks see you next?
I thought this was a ton of fun, as always. I always look forward to Esper Genesis and the terrific players, because it's just a great way to kind of lose oneself for a few hours. As to where I'll be, doing a lot of teaching. If anyone's interested, there's a class going on tomorrow on names and titles that I think will be a lot of fun. So check out the Rambo Academy if you're interested in online writing classes.
Which is good stuff. And you will also, of course, see her next Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, I believe we have set for the Rambo Academy for Wayward Writers on Twitch. So you can see a little bit of this stuff. And yeah, and I highly recommend, I mean, having been able to be in the front row for these, as Kat has been doing these, I mean, I don't need to explain how good these classes are or how useful they are, how much full of valuable information for any kind of narrative work, by the way, not just for strict writing, but also just, the process of developing narrative, for anything, whether it be film, television, game, story, or whether you're interested in those things, even if you don't do them yourself. So you should definitely check them out. And Kat, always a pleasure. I look forward to next week with that, and forward to the next session of Esper Genesis with you as well. And continued good luck with move prep as well. And last but certainly not least, Johnny, thank you so much. As always, good stuff out of Aramis today. And again, I did love this sort of you coming in as like this sort of exasperated dad. Like, what is going on? What are you doing? What are you doing? Why did you do to him today? What did you do to him that made that? It was funny to see kind of Aramis operating the way he did, and having to play frustrated guy, but also having to agree with Sleepwell at times too, which is not normal for him. So how'd you feel about today? Where will the folks see you next?
Not like Aramis has, a beef to pick with Sleepwell. He expressed it last time. He's just concerned about the kid and being a little too rambunctious and not, reeling him in a bit. I was actually surprised again still at more of what Kaz was doing, surprising the hell out of me with his reckless behavior. That was
maybe
more
the virus that's going around is actually I am now Sleepwell. Like,
it's the Sleepwell virus.
Yeah,
Soon everyone will be Sleepwell.
I caught the recklessness.
Right. No, I really enjoyed tonight. I'm looking forward to where we end up next. This has been one oh shit moment that I wasn't quite expecting, because there's no obvious out for us as far as I can tell right now. So I'm really enjoying that particular element of it. You can find me starting Monday, the first episode of the podcast, Dark Fortunes, should be out on various platforms, and I'll be tweeting about that when it actually kind of shows up. I'll be over on Unmade Gaming's channel next week for our Dark Crystal show, Age of Darkness. The characters are going to finally encounter a Gartham, which is a sinister creature only seen at the end of the TV series and at the throughout the movie. And we start production on another podcast tomorrow morning. So when I have more details about that, I will let you know.
Wow, he's busiest man in showbiz. Definitely want to check this guy out.
I'm no Carlos Hernandez or Cat Rambo, but
well, listen, none of us can really be those luminaries, but it is a great pleasure to have Johnny with us, and I want to thank chat for hanging with us as well, and make sure that you stop back to check in with them very soon. But for now, I will say goodbye and thank you to Johnny Pittman, Video Store Cowboy, to Cat Rambo, to Carlos Hernandez, to Zach Clay. You will see them back here in a few weeks with session number 2 of Esper Genesis for the month of February, and you will see Zach on our vocalists, perhaps Carlos and me live from Boscone, and you'll see Cat next week for Rambo Academy of Wayward Writers as well. Thanks, everyone, and can we get some love for our players? And players, thanks so much. I will see you all soon.
Thank you, Greg. Thanks for a great session.
Always a pleasure. And
bye.
Bye for now with them. Good stuff. All right. So that is going to do it for them. And what I'm trying to decide is, because we got done early today, or earlier than I normally would, I'm trying to decide here if I should. Okay, hold on a second as I get my webcam fired up here. I was also loving, this music, which I hadn't been planning on, but this background music from Roll20 is actually, what is it? It is Derelict Freighter, which is Tabletop Audio. It's Forbidden Galaxy, Tabletop Audio, and Starship Bridge by Tabletop Audio. So these three kind of like, these three things together are really interesting to me, because they're just like, they created this kind of creepy, semi-creepy feeling, which I think was kind of neat, and I was sort of enjoying that semi-creepy feeling. So what I'm trying to decide here is if I want to play, do I want to play any Operencia for about an hour? Because I got started late. It started like 9. Yeah, I think I might do that. Now, the only slight risk about this is, if any of you have been on my Discord, or if you're watching this later on, we've been having some trouble with YouTube uploads. What's been happening is that I've been uploading my YouTube video, and what happens is, just as I always do, and what happens is that the 720p quality setting is out of sync, out of video audio sync. So what happens is you watch it, and by the time you get to the end of the video, my lips are doing this, blah, 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 and my voice is completely different. So it's like you're watching a badly dubbed kung fu movie or something like that. We don't know what it is, and I'm not the only one who's experiencing it. And there have been some bug reports submitted and them trying to kind of fix it. Because in the meantime, what it means is, if I do my Twitch upload, because Twitch automatically records these videos and then just kind of moves it over, that's fine. But if I try to do my local recording, which is what I've been doing, and then upload it from there, that has been screwing up. The lower quality levels, this is not a problem. It's just 720p, and it doesn't affect my local recordings, so I don't get what that's about. But anyway, so the result of all that is that I'm worried that what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording, but not the stream, and then I'll restart it again. It was only the once for the split recording. Yeah, exactly. It's inconsistent. Exactly. It's not right. Which I don't understand. It's weird. So anyway, other people are sort of checking into it and seeing, and I don't get what it is. I'm hoping it's a YouTube end bug. Yeah, it seems like it, because it's not affecting it on my end, and it's not affecting it on Twitch, and it's not happening live stream. You know what I mean? So like, it is. Okay, good. I'm glad to hear it. I would rather it be a YouTube bug than be a me bug, because that way it's whenever they are able to figure it out. So I'm going to stop the recording, but not the stream, and then we will start up again, and we'll do, as I say, about an hour of operencia, I think, and then I will call it a night. And then tomorrow, as a reminder, for those of you who are here just for the tabletop, I will be back tomorrow with Infinity and Beyond Curse of Strahd, which is also a campaign that is really like picking up in intensity a lot. So there's been a lot of creepy going on in those campaigns as of late. So you will definitely want to check this out tomorrow with the Infinity and Beyond crew. We should have a full crew. So you'll definitely want to check that out tomorrow. Okay, I'm glad, Shadow. Thank you. It makes me feel a little better. If it's all YouTube's fault, I'm glad to hear it. So, but yes, so I'm going to stop the recording and then we'll start it again. Anyway, the reason I said all of that little preamble is that if for some reason it's out of sync there, I can always upload the overall like Twitch to YouTube video, and that's fine. It just means that then we get this big video with two things as opposed to having two separate things on the playlist side. So anyway, that's the deal with that. But I'm going to thank everyone who watched us for day 38 of Esper Genesis Viral Fallout. Thank you all so much. Thank you to Alligator Alley Entertainment for sponsoring us, and thank you to the players for an amazing job. I love playing with this group. I love playing with all my groups, but I love playing with this group because it's good chemistry. They work well with each other, and it's fun to tell space stories like this. So it's a good time with all of them as we play this. So for those of you watching the video recording, thank you all so much, and I will catch you all soon.